Go Figure TV. Revolutionary salute. Revolutionary salute. Like, share, subscribe. Welcome to the House of Revolution. You know I'm your humble host, the Yao Ming of Revolution, and we got to get into the disaster of the Kamala Harris campaign. Before we do, be sure to wipe your feet. That means hit the like button. You in the House of Revolution. Like, share, subscribe. Let everybody know Core Figures Live. The campaign of Kamala Harris is falling apart quickly. The Boule can't save it. The Divine Nine is pathetic. They wish they was going to be coming into power, but they won't because of us. But let's start this off with showing how that salute, big bro. Let's start this off with showing they staging rallies. They using a bunch of AI. Don't look at the Kamala Harris crowds, man. It's third day in a row to show this and think you lying eyes. Yes, your eyes can lie when you're dealing with Kamala.
Is the Harris campaign planting fake protesters at Kamala's rallies in an effort to make her look good? I know that might sound a little weird or maybe even crazy, but I have a few legitimate questions as well as some evidence that I think y'all will find really compelling. Also, James Blair, the political director for the Trump campaign, has spoken out to give us some encouraging news and some insights on where they currently see the state of the race. And finally, Kamala Harris is going off script and speaking to the press. We'll cover that and much more in today's video. But first, let's take a look at the crowd size at Kamala's rally yesterday in Arizona.
Now, they not telling everybody this. I had to go back and watch because they is lying to you. See, they trying to get crafty little screenshots. Peace and blessings, salute family. They getting crafty little shots, but they starting to close curtains. They covering the whole top rows of stadiums because people not showing up. It's all falling apart. Remember, we found them using AI to embed people into the photos. Oh, it's getting real disgusting.
Melting under the pressure.
Okay, obviously that is a much larger crowd than Joe Biden could ever pull, but that still really isn't that impressive because, like I've been saying in my last few videos, the Democrats are experts at choreography. They're experts at staging these huge political events. And don't forget, they have the backing of Hollywood behind them. So these rallies are likely Hollywood produced, and they know how to go for optics. Now, local news, KJZZ 91.5, a radio station, they published an article. Where is the campaign event in the Valley, and is it open to the public? And in this red box that I highlighted, the Arizona Democratic Party started sending out non-transferable invitations by email on Thursday afternoon. In other words, this event was not open to the public. It was by invite only. Only those who RSVP to the event and bring ID matching the invitation will be allowed inside the arena because of security.
You got to be part of a little Democratic code. Imagine that. Imagine I might want to go there and get influenced and maybe she win me over. Nope, you ain't allowed, co-figure. Hell no, because you're going to give us up and tell everybody this is stage and paid actors. This is ridiculous. You hear this? Members only presidential rallies. This is ridiculous, man, because it's all an act.
Security concerns. Now, that raises a few questions. Number one, who was invited? Are these volunteers? Are these union members? Teachers union? These clearly aren't just organic supporters, not grassroots supporters showing up since it's not open to the public. Compare that to a Trump event, which is open to the public. People line up hours, if not days beforehand to make sure that they can get into the rally. Second of all, did you notice that they're requiring ID, which is really ironic since the border is wide open right now with Kamala Harris, as the borders are.
Now,
and Democrats...
How ironic that the Democrats want you to have an ID, but they don't want you to have no ID. They say, no, you don't need an ID to vote. You got an ID. You got to have an ID to come to their rally. They'll lock you. Remember, Kamala, they'll lock you up. They want to know if you got tickets. You got warrants. Have you paid your child support? All kind of shit. You got a home loan. Lean on it, properties, anything. What? Well, you don't even know all of that. I just come to hear her presidential speech. You see? You see what the Democrats up to? Show us your ID. That's what we're saying about the ballot box. No, that's racist. Asking for ID. See, I told y'all Democrats, you can't believe them. They told us for years if the white man asked us for ID when we voting, that's racist. because old black people, they didn't have IDs back in the day. They just lie on old black people and all kind of shit, use old black people. But now old black people can't come. Imagine that. What happened to the old black people who want to come to the Kamala Harris speech? They ain't got no ID. I thought they didn't have IDs, Democrats.
They think you shouldn't have to provide ID to be able to vote. In fact, they say it's racist to require ID to vote, yet the Harris campaign is requiring ID to get into the event. Just thought I'd point that out. Also, this was confirmed by another local news outlet, Arizona Central. The campaign has not yet announced what time the rally will begin or release details about how the public can attend, because the public can't attend.
This is crazy, man. They finna be flying around the same crowd all over the goddamn place, man. Same Hollywood crowd. You never gonna know nobody who went to one of these rallies. You go to a rally, they screaming, "We love you, we love you." It's a movie. It's a movie. Then to go, you like, hey, you know what? Y'all want to go to the Kamala Harris? Nah, you can't go. Hell no, you can't go. You ain't got no invite.
RSVPs for the event have reached capacity according to an invitation. So again, that isn't an organic grassroots crowd showing up to support Kamala. Those were people invited by the Democrat Party, and we have no idea who the people invited were. Now, what makes things even more embarrassing for the Harris campaign is that the entire arena was not open.
Man, these people, but see, whole rows, you never get to see their face. Illegals. I don't know for what they say. Illegals. They got all kind of illegals in this goddamn crowd because they just. It's a prop. They just need people to fill in the place. Man, this is disgusting, man. And they paying them too.
Open. If you look at the very bottom of this video, you can see what the actual arena looks like. What you want to look at in the main video are the lights lining the top of the rink, and you can see these giant curtains blocking off the entire upper deck, essentially, except for this section right here.
They blocking off
right now. There's another angle that's about to pop up shortly, and you can see that curtain.
Come on, man. That's disgusting, man. That's disgusting, man. Revolutionary salute. Man, Trump fill up the house and then have 20,000 people outside. They can't get in. They looking at the Jumbotron. They party. USA. Whole inside packed, outside packed. Kamala Harris got to put up black sheets and cover the place so the news won't look at the news will never tell you that. This is ridiculous, man. This is a scandal, man. Salute, family. Come on, man.
And there's Trump dancing. That curtain blocking the entire upper level. So the Harris campaign is already bragging that this was a huge event. Nothing compared to a Trump event, obviously. In fact, this is what Kamala posted on her Twitter account about last night. Some are calling our rally the largest in Arizona political campaign history.
Look. I told y'all they're going to give crafty, sneaky angles. And when you see this, you're like, ooh, that thing packed, man. No, it's not. And then we don't know who them people is. We don't know where they bust. We don't know where they bust these people from. That's serious business. It's disgusting. Members only. She's not gonna be able to get away from this. And they IDing every goddamn body coming out, man. Ain't no damn well black people turn around when they hear that. Ain't nobody, what ID? Better turn black people out. Like, what the hell are y'all talking about? What the hell is this? Y'all, are you trying to see if I got warrants? That's the first thing black people think about. Here go the Democrats doing that.
Well, not only was it highly choreographed, highly produced, but y'all also put curtains down around the entire upper deck. Not that impressive. And if you actually rewatch the video, you can see a lot of empty seats and a lot of spaces on the floor. Now, what's interesting here is that there were hecklers. A few days ago in Detroit, there were pro-Gaza, pro-Hamas, anti-Israel protesters who showed up. The same thing happened in Arizona, which is odd when you think about the fact that this was invitation only. Let's take a look at the hecklers.
Democratic number.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Okay, the fact that there were hecklers is not proof that they were plants. It's not proof that that was staged. Though I will say it is unusual, I think, that you would have an invite-only crowd and invite people.
No. Them youngsters is organized. They well organized, and a bunch of them sleeper cells. A bunch of them ain't not been identified as protesters. And Kamala Harris, them clout chasers, they need some of them youngsters. They didn't email some of them youngsters to come to the rally, and the youngsters popped up on them and got busy. Now they're gonna get took off the list. But it's millions of them.
are against you. So
No, that
again,
ain't
that
fair.
raises the question: who exactly was invited? Who was included on that list, and why? But here's the next part that I think is really interesting. I'm not going to say anything. I want to see if you guys pick up on what I picked up on, and if you think you spot it, pause the video and leave a comment down below so we can compare notes.
Which includes respecting the voices that I think that we are hearing from. And let me just say this on topic of what I think I'm hearing over there. Let me just speak to that for a moment, and then I'm going to get back to the business at hand. So let me say, I have been clear. Now is the time to get a ceasefire deal and get the hostage deal done. Now is the time. And the president and I are working around the clock every day
No,
to
you're not.
get that ceasefire
That's a
deal
lie.
done and bring the hostages home.
That's a lie. You got blood on your hands. Genocide, Harris.
So I respect your voices,
No, you
but
don't.
we are here to now talk about this race in 2024.
No, they said free Palestine.
Okay,
They don't give a damn
so
about
this
your
clip
race.
is going viral all over social media. Democrats, Democrat influencers, even the official Democrat Party accounts are posting that clip saying, "Oh, come on."
That's not staged, because for her to even talk about Palestine is not good. She should talk about the Palestine the less as possible. So they would never put plants in there to say free Palestine, and she have to address that situation. No, they told her what to say if something like that happened, and she went to her program speech that she have. And I'm calling for a ceasefire. Nobody gave a damn, because they know she don't want to get no ceasefire. Benjamin Netanyahu don't give a damn because he don't take her serious. So it was like, oh, Kamala Harris, she's finally called for. Man, nobody give a shit. But that's not staged. That was real.
Kamala handled the hecklers like a boss. She was so graceful. She was so presidential. But I think this clip actually raises the question, were those protesters planted? Because I'm going to go ahead and play this again with the sound off. So I want you to notice she actually looks down at the podium a few times when she's addressing the hecklers. Isn't that weird body language? Think about it. If you're hosting an event and you're being heckled by someone off to the side, wouldn't you maintain eye contact with them the whole time? Wouldn't you take a look and check in with the crowd? But there she is, looking down at the podium, and she does it a total of like 6 or 7 times, keeps looking down. Why doesn't she, if she's talking organically, responding to those hecklers in real time, why isn't she just talking to them, pointing at them, delivering her message straight to them? Yes, I get that it's a rally, and she also has to consider the people in the room. But what's odd to me is she keeps looking down at the podium, almost as if there are notes there. Almost as if this whole thing was staged. And like I said, don't forget the Democrats, they have the backing of the Hollywood elites, the entire Hollywood industry. They are so good at choreographing and producing events. Don't forget, the Democrats, the J6 committee, they literally hired Hollywood producers and editors to edit January 6th footage to showcase in the House Capitol hearing, in the House hearing. So I think that's a very valid question to ask. What was she looking at on that podium? Why did she keep referencing that? Why did it look like she was checking her notes? Now, I think there are a few options here. Number one, maybe it was staged, and maybe they wanted to create a viral moment of Kamala being boss lady and showing those hecklers who's boss. Number two, it could be a strategy to try to appease the pro-Gaza, pro-Hamas, anti-Israel crowd in the Democrat Party. And that's why she's checking the notes. Oh, here's how I appease them. I want to make sure I say this properly. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to read my...
They have not asked for Joe Biden to come out and ask for a ceasefire. They said, stop sending them weapons immediately. See, they think the kids are stupid, and nobody who paying attention to that is stupid. Oh, she said she wanted a ceasefire. Talk is cheap. They said stop sending Israel bombs and weapons immediately. As soon as you say no more weapon shipments, then the war stop. They know that. The kids know that. So no, that's not staged. Talking about Hamas and Israel right now is not politically a good thing for the Democrats to do. They would never put that shit in one of their campaign rallies. Nigga, that's all bad.
My notes, talk to the crowd, talk to you, look at my notes. I mean, if you rewatch that video, she looks at her notes, I think 6 or 7 times. And, I get sometimes we might look down, but if you are on stage and being heckled, I just don't think that body movement is something you would naturally do. Now, part of the reason I think it was scripted or could have been scripted.
Remember the other night, she got confronted by protesters and she sounded like a mad woman. You stop, I'm talking. You hush and all that. And everybody like, she like an angry black lady. She looked just like that. It was great use for people online. But look at this angry lady. She didn't even talk to the people, the kids, properly about Israel and Palestine. They saying free Palestine. So what happened? They told her, if this happened again, you be prepared to show compassion, be genuine. You can't be an angry, mad black woman ever again on TV like that. They told her that. So when the kids did it again, then she said, you know what? Let me talk to you. That's why. It's not because it was staged. It's because they told her this going to happen. It's going to happen at every rally Joe Biden and her go to. Them youngsters on their bumper. They mean business. They throwing paint in the street and blood. They outside these people's houses. Now, I'm telling you something, bro. Y'all don't even know that. America's a crazy place. They really mean all these senators, Kamala Harris, they busting immigrants to her house. They protesting her house. Shit, you want to be a politician? It ain't all good. Nigga, people is outside your house, man.
Is because she's been using the same script at every single rally. And this is now like the third rally in a row where she's been interrupted by hecklers. Take a look at this. Every state she goes to, she uses the same script.
Good to be back in Pennsylvania. It really is good to be back in Wisconsin. It is so good to be back in Michigan. I am clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state. And listen, I am clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state.
Now that's disrespectful. Come on, you just gonna go to every state and say, you know what? The path to the White. Come on, man. That's not genuine. That's fake. You don't mean what you're saying. You don't even know where you at. I love you, Montana. We're in Virginia. Oh, Virginia. See because you've been fake. They got to tell you where you at. You have to see. She's not going to beat Trump like that, man. She's not natural. And she's going to keep being able to make mistakes and people is pointing that out. Come on, lady. You not natural at this. You definitely, if any president ever had handlers, she do. But it's all bad. Revolutionary salute. Revolutionary way of life.
I took on perpetrators of all kinds. I took on perpetrators of all kinds. I took on perpetrators of all kinds.
Okay, before we continue, I just want to make it very clear. I understand that there are things called stump speeches, and I understand that it's unfair to expect a candidate to have a brand new 100% original speech for every state that they go to. I get that. Trump himself, even though he goes off teleprompter and he's able to ad lib on the spot, he's able to riff off the crowd, and he doesn't need the teleprompter, but he even has those pre-planned talking points that he goes through. I get that. That's normal. The issue here is that Kamala is hiding from...
He personalized everywhere he go. He gonna talk about the governor, either good way or bad way, talk about a few Congress people, talk about the businesses he gonna bring back to that community, that state. No. Trump played the game because it wasn't about he's a businessman. He wasn't whether a politician or not. He talking about some Trump hotels. I love New York. I'm bringing more hotels. California, more hotels. So he just did it with politics. Now he know where he at though. You got to have love for the people. Kamala don't care where she at because she just trying to play people. So she don't mind saying the same shit to the same people. That's crazy, man. And then when they come to black people switching to Ebonics, that's disrespectful as fuck too, man. That's serious. That's it, because they telling her to do that. No, you got to speak to them in a certain way. What the hell are y'all talking about? We understood you when you were talking the other way. We don't like that. We got to stop that. That's disrespectful. We don't want that type of politics, man. Trump don't do that. Come on, man. They say he was racist. If he just, trying to talk to us in some ghetto slang. Come on, man. Why do Kamala get away with it?
From the press. She's not doing any interviews. She's not doing any town halls. She has no policy. She has no agenda listed on her website. She's essentially, with the exception of these rallies, running a basement campaign.
That's disgusting, man. This lady don't even have no agendas on her fucking website, bro. That's disgusting, man. They don't want to put their policies up because they already know the policies is trash and they want you to be able to think of, read it and really go through it. Come on, man. She don't want to tie herself to those policies of the Biden administration.
campaign. And instead of getting into specifics, she keeps blabbering with the same generic talking points at all of these rallies. So that's why this is an issue. It's not the fact that she's recycling a stump speech, which many candidates do. The issue here is that she is sticking to a script, not only when she's on stage, but she's sticking to a script even when she's off stage. And that's why I brought up the heckler situation, because what was she looking at on her podium?
Oh, Donald Trump's type. I know Donald Trump's type. In this campaign, I proudly put my record against his any day of the week. In this campaign, I'll tell you, I will proudly put my record against his any day of the week.
And she gonna get to, hey, watch what you wish for, because you're gonna get to. She gonna get her chance because he called out to debate. Now they got a debate on the record. She don't want to do more than one time. He told her, give me 3. And she gonna get a chance to put her record up against his record. But we can see his record. He got a website. He tell you all the stuff he want to do for you. You know, we got a plan just for you, for blacks. Now we haven't negotiated it. It's gonna be way more on the table. She already said black. Hell no, I'm not. That right there, people want. At least Trump's okay. I like that black platinum plan. Let's talk about that. The black for black people, white, Mexican, Asian. He said, no. I'm gonna talk to y'all later. I just want to talk to the black Americans. Kamala too scared to say that. See, we can't be dealing with presidents who's scared to say that. Let me just deal with y'all. I got a package for y'all. Come on. And I mark my word. And I've told people this before. Trump is so arrogant that, see, he got Lincoln on his mind. Damn, Lincoln freed the slaves. Man, I could be great if I give them the reparations that they truly deserve. Don't mark my word. That man ego is big enough to come on with that reparations, that lineage-based reparations, man.
I really hope that the Trump campaign and the Republicans really focus on her record. I mean, I get it's fun. I get it excites the base to come up with nicknames and to really brand your opponent. But those swing state voters, the people right in the middle, the ones who are really undecided, Kitty, I'm trying to make a video. The ones who are really undecided, they're not going to be, a lot of them are turned off by the nicknames. Look, I get amused by it. I think it's funny. I love the meme wars. I love trolling. I get all of it.
All right. That's enough of that. We have to, I really wanted to use this video to show y'all that she had those fake crowds. But we just got so much lined up on Kamala, because I'm happy that the Boule, the Greek Freaks, Divine Nine, they find out they getting put in their place all over the country, all on TV. You know, they getting called out on their social media. But never forget, they're also immoral bastards. We got to put that front and center. A lot of these disgusting perverts, they run that Democratic play on us to get rich and live an elitist life, and then try to act like they holier than holy. You got to tie their butt up. You cannot let them get away with that. We can't let them do that no more, because it's been a con. You see? The people don't even pay their tithes, man. Don't be listening to them people, man.
Let me see. I am going to endorse her. I'm with her. I wish I had somebody else that'll go with her. We cannot allow ourselves to be caught up in the hype and to deal. Let me tell you, I ain't calling no names. Tell somebody he ain't calling no name. But that other person is a convicted felon.
I'm seeing people preach favoring abortion, even to the 9th month, meaning 5 minutes after the baby is born. You still got the right to let a doctor drill a hole in the baby's head. And see, here's a lie the devil used. A woman should have the right to do what she want to do with her body. That's the lie. Oh, see, y'all take a stand when you're in church. Oh, here we go. I love the Lord. He heard my cry. I'm baptized, filled with the Holy Ghost. I speak in tongues. Yeah, you can do it around everybody else in church because it feels safe. But the issue is, what will you say out in the midst of that world? Will you stand up for Christ when you're out before the world? That's what lets us know where your commitments are.
What's up, y'all? Gerald here, creator of Gospel Chops and your host for this YouTube channel, back with another video. Now, if you've been following this channel for the last few weeks, you know that we've gone heavy on politics. Why? Because politics has become so pervasive in American society that it is everywhere you look. It is affecting schools. It is affecting employment. It is affecting even the church. And we've experienced a couple incidents over the last couple weeks, y'all, where it seems like politics has creeped its way in and affected the church negatively. How so, you ask? Well, one of the bishops we follow and support on this channel is Bishop Patrick Wooden of Raleigh, North Carolina, and he came out and wanted to give some clarification in a recent video. And he wanted to clarify that although his political stance seems to be in conflict with his presiding bishop, he came out to be a loyal soldier. He came out to make a clarification because the presiding bishop of the Church of God in Christ has come out, y'all, and said he's with her.
Let me see. I am going to endorse her. I'm with her. I wish I had somebody else that'll go with her. We cannot allow ourselves to be caught up in the hype and to deal. Let me tell you, I ain't calling no names. Tell somebody he ain't calling no name. But that other person is a convicted felon. That other person, somebody say other person. That other person lies repeatedly, right in your face, and then do their hands all like that. No. We must come together. It starts August 6th. Look at somebody and say, get a practice run. August 6th, we must vote. We must vote. I'm going to say it again. We must vote.
This is disgusting. This is disgusting. That's why we got to stand against this. You know, I would love to sit across from this preacher with the camera on. See, no, these conversations are worthless behind the scenes. See, this type of bastard, they getting paid big money for this type of stuff. They cashing him out to persuade our people to vote for Kamala Harris. It's how moral she is, but the whole platform is immoral. He cannot. You see, for the preacher to be going for the transition of these kids and then going for the abortion, that's outrageous. That right there has really divided our people so much. You see, the Democrats don't even know. Had they not done that, they could have still had a lot of us. Had they not, wanted to be poverty pimps, we wouldn't have to succeed from them and have this civil war within our community. Had they not been so war hungry, and turned on Gaddafi and put black people in cages. I'll never forget the Progressive Black Coons for that. Had they not been so for the people get flooding across that border and coming in our community and just taking from us, See, they have become, I never even knew what that was, the uniparty. They don't give a damn about us. They want us to just get in where we fit in. What kind of fucking society is that? No, that ain't that. What? The best man win. What the hell are you talking about? That's scavenger society. That is a thieves society. We could come from a nurture society where everybody gets a fair share. Everybody can be taught. They don't give a damn about everybody being taught. If you ain't taught, that's Democrats. That's real. They don't want everybody to get a proper education. I know you never believed that. I didn't believe that, but it's true. It's true. Oh, they tell the Republicans is racist for wanting vouchers and school choice. That's racist. That's so racist. Everything's racist because they used to make us all say, we don't want to hear nothing they say because you was big. That's bullshit. A lot of these black districts, a lot of these black schools, these kids can't read. I witnessed if they could play sports, they push them boys through school. I can name some. Push them through school, get a couple of state championships. They can't go to college. They can't read. They definitely ain't going to make it in society because they can't read. They can't count, really. They just been passing them through high school. That's bullshit. Like teachers getting paid, lying that them kids are passing them classes. They don't give a fuck about these kids. But this is Democratic districts. These is Democratic cities. They ought to be responsible for what they have did to our goddamn communities. And then you have these shoe shiners. They all in a damn shoe shining Olympics. This is a shoe shining Olympics. They want the gold medal of shoe shining. Telling us, if the preachers, telling us to vote for something they know, go against the Most High. That's immoral. Period. Immoral. You go to one of their motherfucking rallies, your soul is under attack, Jack. You can feel the wickedness in your spirit, your car, you in Sodom and Gomorrah. Anything go. And how can you be righteous and all of that is amongst you? Are you crazy? What is wrong with you? Huh? But they may not get you. But they damn sure might get your kids. That's what they want. You might be strong enough to hold on to that perverse immorality going on over there. But they might get your loved one who not so fucking strong. And they got their soul. This is ridiculous. But we're going to stand against that.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Don't sit on the sideline.
And when you vote, you try to ignore it and say it ain't no big thing. But when you vote for people with these convictions and they get in office and they start doing these things, you got a responsibility for
Come on, man. Come on, man. They call her VP Tampon Tim. Why do they call Tim Walz Tampon Tim? Well, this dude he put tampons in the boys' bathroom. What? This is the Democrat platform. I want to see. That's why I say, but that's why I say I'm just good at what I'm doing. Then I got little bro. He see, we like yin and yang. We want to have a calm discussion. Then we send little bro. We want to put some fear in these bastards. Then I'm gonna do the talking because I just can't. I can't deal with shoe shines like that. They can't be in no room with me and explain to me why you want to put tampons in the boys' bathroom, nigga. What are you talking about, pervert? What are you talking about? But you see, now they're gonna set the snare. If you stand for, you're not gonna be putting tampons around the boys and stuff like that. Now I go to jail. Now you see, now they can take my kids, take the grandkids. They can take your kids from you because that's child abuse. It's child abuse for you to tell your son you are a boy. Do you hear me? For you to tell your girl you are a girl. That is child abuse. They setting it up. The Democrats. What, am I missing something here? Come on, bro. And that is what I be telling them. If we give you all the information and you still say, when I'm voting for them, I get pissed off. I'm like, all right. Because I'm like, you wicked. You see? And it hurts that we when our own people so wicked. We talking about the white man, and so much evil is amongst us. They ain't white. They look just like you. And wicked than a motherfucker.
The church is bowing. Here go the hard part right here, and I'm finished. But this is the tough part. Y'all ain't gonna like this one. But there are two gods that the black church, and I don't like to say black church because God don't divide his church black and white. We all are part of the church. But I'm saying it to give reference to the African-American churches. Two gods that many are bowing to today. And that's the God of LGBTQ and the God of blackness. People have made a God out of color.
I have to take this loud down.
In other words, I got to be with my color. I got to stand with my color, meaning I'll reject Christ. Color gonna get you in trouble. I'm not saying you don't love your people, but if my people go contrary to my convictions, I can't stand with you. Come on, somebody, say amen.
Yes. I can't stand with you.
Let that sink in. I know that ain't gonna hit right with some of y'all. As a lifelong Church of God in Christ.
Come on, man. I tell you, I'm like the prodigal son. I come up out the mud. Do you think because you sick, I'm not dealing with that perverse BS no more. So once you don't come clean, you don't want to deal. And I know filth when I see it. That's what's wrong with some people. Who you trying to fool? Sinner? Who you playing because your name doctor or PhD? You been to this school, that school. Who gives a damn Greek freak? You pervert. And you want to legalize your perversion, huh? You didn't, because a lot of us, we didn't swear to keep the secrets. You know, these people, like I tell you, man, we seen a video yesterday, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And it's true in society. We talk about the white man, but if you're not part of these sororities, you didn't go to some of these schools, these people not hire you. These are people not hiring you. They got the jobs. They own a bunch of goddamn companies. They're not hiring if you're not part of their goddamn fraternity.
Member. Was born in. I ain't join in. It didn't sit right with me either. But let me tell you, Been watching this presiding bishop since he was elected, and I knew it was going to be bad because when you try to take the church and you try to turn it into a reality TV show, and you try to turn it into a record label, and you try to conform to the ways of the world, well, that ain't going to work. How does that align with scripture? And when you go over and try to associate with the Mormons, take your family over there with the Mormons and try to connect and pull a financial lick in the name of the church, taking your family over there, pulling some shenanigans for your own personal benefit. Well, let me tell you something. In my opinion, because I'm assuming that y'all tune into this channel for my opinion, so I'm going to give it to you. In my opinion, those actions, it was such a rookie mistake as to be disqualifying to preside over anything. I wouldn't let you preside over the children's church, over the YPWW, bruh. And then you come out in 2024 in a political year and stick your toe in water and say, I'm with her. Over 1 million parishioners in the United States, and you're going to advocate, you're going to endorse this woman who seemingly, based on her history, because she hasn't even put her platform up on her website. So we are left to assume, based on what we know of her history, seems like she's for all things the Church of God in Christ should be against. Seems like she's for everything y'all get up in the pulpit and preach against.
Swindlers.
So I'm not going to go hard on Bishop Wood, and we still love him. We still support him.
We going hard on all of them.
But we know he had to be a good soldier and come out and show his support for his leader. Even though everything he stood on in the past goes against standing with her.
Nah, they done got their 30 pieces of silver trying to sell us out.
But that's okay. I'll let them deal with that conflict. And I hope Bishop Wooden, moving forward, will continue to stand 10 toes down on what he said in the past. But there's always a remnant. And here we are with Apostle Alton Williams, who I have not heard of before this time, who has come out and stood on God's business. Told y'all what you need to hear in these tumultuous times. He had a word for the church. I'm sure he gonna get some blowback for what he said, but I need him to know as well that there are those of us who are out here, even in this YouTube space, who support you when you stand on God's word.
We support the brothers like.
Y'all check this video out.
Church is bowing to this LGBTQ thing. Yes, they are. I'm seeing it happen all the time. What they did, here you go. They pushed LGBTQ on black people. And now, in order for you to be in line with black folk, you got to almost accept LGBTQ. Preach Holy Ghost. Here's what hurt me. Now, I'm finna say it, you ain't gonna like it, but I'm giving you truth. When Obama put the colors on the White House, acknowledging this nation honors LGBTQ, I saw black folk and black preachers compromise. We got to accept it because our black president goes along with it. I don't care what president, what color he is. If you ain't in line with God, I can't stand with you. And that's what's causing y'all. Yeah, I'm preaching up in here. You're getting off with God because you're trying to stand with black. I can't vote for a party that is for all kind of sexual perversions. I can't do it. I can't vote for a party that's going to accept transgenders going into women's restrooms. I can't do it.
Can't do it.
I can't do it. I can't go with a party that wants to cut little girls' breasts off to make them boys.
Come on,
I can't go
do
with
it.
a party that says you can be a boy today and a girl tomorrow.
Y'all, once again, black folks have been played.
Huh?
We have been put.
Come on now. How many people that lined up in this goddamn comment section over the year, whatever we've been talking about these politics, and say, "Cool, who you vote for? Oh, why you vote for Trump? Did you just hit a preacher? He just named my list. I can't vote for no party that's immoral like that. What's wrong with you? That's on that's their platform. Trump array. So you vote. So you tell you for all that perversion because you heard Trump was a racist. Nigga, please, who you kidding, man? Before it was Trump, what was your reason? Oh, they all racist. That's disgusting. You see, they've been exposed. It's never gonna be the same again. They have shown their hand. They don't give a damn. They don't give a damn about what's coming out their mouth except what's good for the Democratic Party, those who in power. And these preachers most of these preachers are tied to the Democratic Party. And most of them, the only politics they can talk about is this election and things of that nature, or they'll get their tax exempt status pulled from them. See, nothing revolutionary about it. They got to talk about who to vote for, vote straight, party ticket, that type of shit. No, and a lot of them, I didn't know. See, a lot of them, these big churches and stuff like that, you don't know this, but this is true. The government be having their, before they get their sermons, they give it to the government. The government know what's going to come out their mouth before you know. That's a fact. That's a fact. These people be turning in their speeches to government officials, man. You don't even know that, but they know that. They know that's true because it only makes sense. The government want to know what the fuck these ministers is telling y'all. They'll go off script sometime in their sermons, but their script on what they're gonna be preaching, they give it to the government, man. And they know that's motherfucking true, man. Or them 50C, whatever that shit is, the tax static exempt shit will get pulled immediately. And they'll be seen as a terrorist, radical, communist organization real quick. Then your ass ain't getting no tax exempt. You paying a bunch of fucking taxes, nigga, and your ass getting harassed by the government.
Pushed into a corner where we got to make a decision. Are you going to hang with the blackety blacks and eat your alphabet soup? Or are you going to stand on principles, stand for righteousness, buck the trends, and face the repercussions of American society? Because so many people are standing up these days and preaching on stuff and voting against the very things that they preach about. How you gonna stand with her when she stand for abortion? How you gonna stand with her when she stand for open borders? How you gonna stand with her when she stand for letting Pookie and Ray Ray Nim out of prison? When you know that that's the same Pookie and Ray Ray that's been terrorizing the neighborhood since they was teenagers. You know who the criminals are.
Damn right you do.
You know who the bad actors are. Don't get up and preach against bad acts. And then go to the polls and vote for bad acts. Tells me that you ain't standing on nothing. And in a position of leadership over millions of folks. No, you can't make it make sense to me, sir. Ma'am. Sir, ma'am, we don't know what it is with you. Could you stand up here and read from the text? And then you vote against the text. The very text that you claim to preach.
Hypocrites.
I understand this is an election year for the church. I understand the politics of the game in the church is just as harsh as governmental politics in America. We get it. We know where it's coming from. But boy, oh boy, to stand up here and tell millions of folks I stand with her, to give this endorsement to her, well, you giving an endorsement to everything she stands for. which includes
That's a fact.
tampons in boys' bathrooms in public schools.
That's disrespectful as hell, man.
I've told y'all before that I feel like education is the civil rights issue of our time. And when we got preachers out here promoting policies that are steering our boys astray.
That's right.
In the public school system, because they know you got to go to work. Some of y'all working 2 and 3 jobs.
Come on now.
Just to keep the lights on, just to make ends meet. You're working 2 and 3 jobs. You can't afford to send your kids to private school. So you're subject to the things that they promote in a public school. Well, out here on the West Coast, we know that's a major problem. So how you gonna preach one thing in the pulpit and then go to the polls and preach castration, preach puberty blockers, preach transformers, preach Bible, but vote drag queen story hour? Sir, you are sending mixed messages, and we know that God is not the author of confusion. So what is this really about?
I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't support a party that wants to remove God from its party platform. You're in trouble when the nation forgets God. I can't follow a party that wants to sexualize our children in school, put drag queens in front of them, reading them little children's stories. I can't do it.
Come on, man. Come on, this got to stop, man. Where are they going with
I can't support a party that wants to take the rights of parents away. In California right now, parents are being arrested because they won't go along with the sexualization of their children.
Come on, man. I've been talking about this. I keep talking about this. And that's Gavin Newsom. They want him to be the president. They want to bring Kamala Harris is the vice president. She want to be the president. Where do you think she came from? California. They want to arrest us if we say, hell no, you not finna feminize our boys and turn them into females. And if we stand up, we go to jail. See, they want us in jail anyway, but now is if we protect them, say, oh, damn, they ain't going to prison no more. They got hip to that. They know we want to destroy the home. They trying to actually raise these kids and be in their lives and become good role models. We got to destroy this. So when you actually be a man, a master, hey, I'm not going, lock him up. Child abuse. It's child abuse. That's on the Democratic platform, man. These people is out of their goddamn mind, but we got to stand up for this. But the black community, we have a bigger problem because too many people went along with this. Too many people in our community act like they don't understand what we're saying.
But there are many parents that are compromised. Y'all got to make a decision.
I feel for our brother, Bishop Wooden. And I'm one of those that advocate for a preacher like Bishop Wooden being the presiding bishop. I know he ain't going to get behind that. But I didn't make that up, y'all. I heard it out here in these YouTube streets. I'm not the first to come up with that. The Church of God in Christ needs to go back to the old time way, as the old saints would say. And these progressive preachers that y'all have put in positions of authority will be the downfall of your church. That's why you've seen it splintered off over the years and so many different denominations popping up here, there, and everywhere. And you look at them and you say, wow, they a lot like Kojic. Seem like they peeled off a lot from Kojic. Yeah, they have. A lot of them came out of Kojic. But they're in disagreement with the leadership. And I'll tell you, when the leadership get up here talking about, I'm with her, well, there's plenty of us out here in disagreement with the leadership. And we might turn to brothers like Alton Williams, who out here talking right, who out here standing on God's business, who ain't scared of the alphabet mafia that has infiltrated the church. Y'all better let me know what you think about this. I expect to hear from y'all in the comments because I know this is a touchy
Now we're gonna get back to Kamala, but I had to show y'all this because the Boule on the left and the right, all of the Boule, you know, they getting put in a place, and it's just our time now.
But my God, Harold Ford Jr., can you please let the Memphis in you come back out?
This was crazy.
I just saw this, and bro, what the hell happened to you? Y'all, watch this. I got white dudes for Harris right here, and I'm not going to put it on for one reason. I don't want to mess up my hair, but two, I'm not for Harris, so I'm going to give it to you. A white dude for Harris. You are white, right? You're white. I'll give it to my father-in-law. Okay. You wear that. You wear that, Harold. I give this as a gift. And you put it on your beautiful head. I appreciate that.
Damn, man. I told him, you white, ain't you? Ah, shoe shiner. That's crazy. He told you, buff my shoes live on TV. Buff, buff, buff. Shine, shine, shine. This dude is in the shoe shining Olympics. That man just told him, you are white, ain't you having that? See, all that passing, all that trying to pretend like you white one day, then you black another day. That's not cool right now. They ain't going for that. They tell my pick a side. And he just sat there and told that dude, you white, live on TV. And he said that, laughed it off. Oh, man, see, you definitely white. You ain't black.
The red, white.
We don't want
you. So you're not a Harris supporter. I am. You're not going to mess up your hair. Look at it.
But he never said he wasn't white. Are you white or are you black? You never said, hey, I'm a black American, live my life as one, blah, blah, blah. Oh, hey, no, I'm white. What the fuck are you? Now, guys, what is these dudes? What is these people, man? Because he loved this. Because he definitely doesn't disrespect that man. The redneck, the hillbillies, the racists, they love that clip.
Come on, Harold, put the hat on. Joining us now is University President Dr.
He the Boule, though. I ain't never liked him. All he do is shine. He's a Democrat, though. He's a Democrat. He's a Democrat who's brought on now to shine, to go against the Republicans' talking points and stand up for Democrats. So they bring him on now to be the Democratic Boule who stand up for the talking points of the motherfucking Democrats. And what happened? Sure, they just said, shine my shoes live on TV. Hand him a hat that said white man for Kamala. Say, you white, ain't you?
That was horrible. That was, I mean, he goes on that show and they buffoon him like that.
But all these Democrats, they all shoe shiners. That's just they old partners. They used to cuff old Harold. They know his whole family. Watch. They just like, damn, Harold, you making us look bad. No, y'all making y'allself look bad because y'all shoe shiners. And y'all been shining these people's shoes for far too long, whether it's MSNBC, whether it's CNN, whether it's Fox News. They don't mind telling y'all buff their shoes live on TV.
Yes. Y'all make us look all the time. And he sits there. I get a hat to my father-in-law because he's married to a white woman. But you let that racist bastard Jesse Waters Harold, you are white, right?
Wow, that's all.
You still got a buff rag in your head.
Hey, Roland. Now, listen, it would take Mark. It would take Mark. You might have to walk Roland through the history of the Ford family in West Tennessee, particularly Memphis, and how this is so on brand for a junior, and so to speak. After his father was a congressman for many years, coming out of Memphis, the Ford family passed the baton to him by Mark. What was it? I'm trying to remember. Harold Ford Sr. withdrew from the campaign he withdrew from the campaign too late for anybody else to jump in. So they just basically put up signs in Memphis that said Junior. Donald Harold Jr. had a silver spoon in his mouth for decades, but that's all brand for Harold Ford Jr. Anybody just tell you it ain't even news in Tennessee when it comes to Junior.
But I ain't got Harold Sr. letting no white man clown him like that, Jeff. Greg, I'm calling you your brother. I'm getting my Tennessee confused.
That's all right. Yes, sir.
We all know each other. Asheville, Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I don't have Harold Sr. letting himself be clowned like that. That is embarrassing and disgraceful.
Oh, I agree with you. You're right.
Harold on that show no more. He really, really doesn't need to do that. Y'all, young people, parents, show that video. You never want to be in that position. That man said, "Aren't you white?" on television. I mean, that's just nasty. He knew what he was doing. Oh, it's disgraceful.
He don't go back.
And I'm sure some of his grandparents, I know some of his family rolling over in their grave. That is horrendous. You gonna subject yourself to that kind of thing?
Well, let's understand something very clearly here. It's easier to be the person that goes along with this nonsense than it is to be the person that stands up and says something, right? It's easier to be the Roy Wilkins than it is to be Malcolm X. And everybody knows that. To sit there and get your little check from Fox News and get clowned is easier, and to keep your mouth shut, it's easier than to say something live on the air, which is what he should have done. I'm sure we're going to hear some story later about how he confronted Jesse Walters in the back. Well, why not do it on the air? He clowned you on the air, so you should say it on the air. But, you know, when it comes to this entire thing, I have to wonder to myself, why is Harold Ford on Fox anyway? Why is he on Fox? Forget about today's event. Why is he on Fox News?
Well, you got to remember, that was some allegation. Remember, he was on MSNBC, Morning Joe a lot. Was some allegation with, I guess, with one of the Wall Street banks he works with, and then it took him off the air, and then they didn't renew his deal, and so then he goes to Fox. But it's like, bruh, have some self, again, have some black consciousness. You let no man just sit here, especially when you know that Jesse Waters is a racist asshole.
Right. I mean,
but you gonna sit here, you kick in. I'll give it to my father-in-law. Man, okay. Anyway, let me just go ahead.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture.
The Indian community will not be voting for you. Last name is not Patel. Your last name is Harris. What kind of Indian name is that, huh? You don't even have a Jamaican name. You could have been at least named Marley. If you're Jamaican, you claim you're black, but your last name is not Marley. You claim you are Jamaican, but your last name is not Marley. You claim you're Indian, but your last name is not Patel.
Oh my gosh, Kamala! I love that Kamala, man. Now that name is gonna live rent free in my head. Make sure y'all go follow him. I'll make sure I left his information on the screen, and I meme as well. Kamala Harris, man, I can't trust her. She's a career liar, you know, just like your boy Biden is. And on top of that, she's a DEI in this position right now because without Biden dropping out and the race being so close, she stood no chance. She couldn't get the votes herself in order to be able to run right now. And on top of that, she's plagiarizing. We have her in real time plagiarizing. Kamala's first major policy proposal was actually plagiarized from Donald Trump.
Because when I get to office, we are going to not charge taxes on tips, people making tips.
And eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
Kamala Harris is a fraud, people. She's black when it's convenient. She's Indian when it's convenient. Hell, she's even Asian when it's convenient. You hear me out? Her accents change when it's convenient. Her apologies are now changing when they're convenient, because she went from no fracking and now she won't fracking. Like, we don't understand it, man. There's no authenticity with her. You know what I mean? She just goes with the wind. Let's read some of these comments. Kamala Harris next week. Let's build the wall. I keep saying that for sure, because everything that she's saying she don't like about Trump, she's actually copying it. And that's what pisses me off about the American people even more. It's like, yo, do we really dislike the messenger so much that we're willing to disregard the message? Donald Trump, that is. Because, I mean, if he's willing to do all of these things that you're willing to celebrate and you're for these things, and you quote yourself by saying, oh, you know, Kamala Harris says she's going to do this tax on tips. She's looking out for the people. But Donald Trump is already doing that. Like, why can't y'all just give this man his credit? It'll never happen, man. Copycat Kamala strikes again. There has to be instances of plagiarism with her past. And somebody else wrote, Kamala Harris stole Joe Biden's presidency and nomination. Do you really think she wouldn't steal Trump's ideas if she thought they would benefit her? This woman has zero shame. Just ask Willie Brown. We have a new Trump ad that hits the establishment right where it hurts and crushes Harris and Biden with accomplishments Trump made while he was in office. You will get chills after watching this. Trump 2024.
President Obama will go down as perhaps the worst president in the history of the United States! Exclamation point at real Donald Trump. Well, at real Donald Trump, at least I will go down as a president.
I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
If it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally.
A new world order. These allegations are false. Weapons of mass destruction. The USA Patriot Act. The blueprint for large corporations.
We once were. We are no longer a Christian nation.
Donald Trump confirmed that he is considering a run in 2016.
Do it.
I am officially running for President of the United States.
He will never be President of the United States.
Donald Trump will never be elected President of the United States.
People are watching these results come in.
We are going to make this decision now. Donald Trump will be the 45th President of the United States.
Does it ever seem to you that President Trump has done more than any president in modern history?
In the 10 years I've been involved in politics, I've never seen an administration hit the ground running like this.
I could spend the rest of the hour laying out the accomplishments under the Trump presidency, despite everything thrown at him.
The market just had its 12th straight record close.
Taking action to save as many kids as they can.
We were energy independent under the Trump administration.
More Americans reported being employed than ever.
Helping those who have served our country in the military to get access to mental health care.
The Great American Outdoors Act is the largest single piece of legislation to support our national parks and public land.
Created more than 7 million good-paying jobs.
Websites can be held liable in court for having sex trafficking content.
The Abraham Accords, which for any other president would have been multiple peace prizes.
America did not enter into a foreign war.
The employment rate in the U.S. fell to 3.5%.
The First Step Act eases federal sentencing for nonviolent offenders.
Increased funding for historically Black colleges and universities.
Allows terminally ill patients easier access to experimental drugs.
Kept the inflation rate low.
Honored with the Bipartisan Justice Award.
Had a massive MS-13 gang fraud. 3.9% is the unemployment rate, requiring airports to provide lactation rooms for breastfeeding mothers.
Middle-class family income increased nearly $6,000. A dramatic escalation in his crackdown on illegal immigration.
An advocate for educational choice.
Tariffs on Mexico and Canada.
An act preventing animal cruelty and torture.
Taking out Baghdadi, the head of ISIS, Soleimani, the Iranian general.
Save Our Seas Act commitment to environmental issues.
We're saying Merry Christmas again.
Community development in low-income urban and rural communities.
Help us to remember the importance of fighting off tyranny.
Pulling out of UNESCO, the World Health Organization, the Paris Climate Accords, reassessing NATO and the United Nations.
Stood up for Christianity and the Constitution more than any president in American modern history.
We are stopping the attacks on Judeo-Christian values. Do you miss me yet?
To answer your question, Trump, yeah, we do. Oh, we need you back, Trump. We need you to come back here, man. I ain't gonna lie, I do love that Obama, when he read that tweet out and how it aged, when he was just like, when Donald Trump said President Obama will go down as perhaps the worst president in the history of the United States. And then Obama drops the phone like, well, at least I will be president. That aged so well. Anyhow, then we have to talk about her VP pick, Kamala Harris, that is, Tim Walz from the window. Anyhow, I don't feel like doing that. This is the best ad I've seen so far, and it's how most people feel about Democrat authoritarianism during the jab days. What Tim Walz did in Minnesota is the same thing Kamala Harris did as VP.
Clear, over 80% of our students miss less than 10 days of in-class learning.
I won't forget when you illegally banned physicians from prescribing medications for early treatment, fracturing the doctor-patient relationship. I will never forget being forced out of my job at the VA of 20 years because of the...
I won't forget when you decided which businesses were essential and which ones weren't.
You shut down stores, malls, zoos, everything, and we couldn't even go outside.
I'll remember when you sent positive patients back to the nursing home, and you chose not to send them to the Bethesda hospital. People died alone.
I won't forget to vote in November.
I will never forget how you closed our churches but left the liquor stores open.
I will remember how you promised us data on masks and you never showed the data.
My child can't wear a mask and I had to pull him from school.
And I remember how you divided us.
People rioted, burnt our cities, and we were not allowed to gather with our families.
I will remember in November.
We won't forget in November.
I will never forget how you abandoned the most vulnerable Minnesotans by shutting down day programs for disabled adults.
I remember when you blamed Minnesotans when your mitigation strategies failed.
I will remember in November.
You put a limit on people who could come over to your house for Thanksgiving. I will never wear a mask again.
I will never forget what you did to me and my friends. I will never wear a mask again.
Governor Walz, we are not your one Minnesota. We are real Minnesotans who are worried about our future, and we will remember in November.
I'm not gonna lie, y'all, I love doing these videos. These are probably like my favorite videos to post these days is when people make these ads. I haven't found any new parody ads though. Ooh, it is hot. I'm baking. I haven't found no new parody ads from Reagan USA account. I love watching the parody ads when the Kamala Harris administration puts out an official ad on their behalf, and then he takes Reagan USA on Twitter, that is, takes that real ad and he AIs the voice into what actually should be said, factual things that should be said, but he has to write it as a parody. But last but not least, y'all, we got one more compelling ad. And we know that if the American people seen these videos, woohoo, a lot of hearts and minds will be changed. It says, as Biden prepares potentially to drop out, so this was definitely right before the announcement, it seems, the Trump team turns their targets to Kamala Harris. Brilliant orator. Wow. With an ad just featuring her brilliant speeches. What? Brilliant in speeches with Kamala Harris in the same sentence? I know. See?
Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs. And there is such great significance to the passage of time. So the impressive community is they are as they are called. They're in the community, led by members of the community. They are people who understand the capacity of the community, the needs of the community, the culture of the community. Space is exciting. It is time for us to
do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree that there are things and tools that are available to us to slow this thing down. I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been, you know?
Oh, no, I got a funny laugh myself, y'all. I be trying so hard not to be.
January 20th, 2021, if you are president, what specifically would you do with the thousands of people who try to reach the United States every day and want a better life through asylum?
Immediately on January 20th of 2021, I will, first of all, we cannot forget our DACA recipients, and so I'm going to start there. I will immediately, by executive action, reinstate DACA status and DACA protection to those young people. I will further extend protection for deferral of deportation for their parents. I will also immediately put in place a meaningful process for reviewing the cases for asylum.
One of the questions that the Black community has is, Senator Harris, if you are elected president, what would be your agenda for the Black community?
Right. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No.
And she really showed me and demonstrated to me that she cares about our people passionately.
No, she demonstrated that she cared more about her people passionately, not with lip service either. The Biden-Harris administration bragged about the tangible benefits they delivered to Kamala's people. See, she said she wasn't going to do anything specifically for Black people, but she's done a lot specifically for her AAPI community. She got her people over $17 billion in government contracts in 2022 and increased that number by 2.7 billion, giving them 20 billion in 2023. This wasn't for everybody. This was special set-asides for Asian American owned businesses. Kamala continued to support Asian American small business owners by providing their small businesses with $6.4 billion in funding in fiscal year 23. That's $6.4 billion with a B. Yeah, $6.4 billion in just 1 year alone, 2023, that went directly to Asian American owned businesses under the Biden-Harris administration. They bragged about this to the Asian American community. So look at 2023 alone, just 1 year. That's a total of $26.4 billion allocated directly to Asian American owned businesses. Kamala's people. That wasn't for everybody. It was specifically for them.
How y'all find money for them? But you can't find money for us. Do you all realize that CTU has it in their contract that is up for negotiations this year, where they're going to be giving more money to migrants than they're going to be giving to support our teachers? In what world is that okay? You want to give migrant kids $2,000 a month for a stipend in your contract? What about the rest of the kids who are hungry and suffering here in Chicago? Do you not think that it's just migrant kids who are suffering, who are not able to eat, who are dealing with homelessness? Of course it's not.
How about they read the policies on Kamala Harris' website? I'll wait. Because ain't none. Just donate. Donate.
Yeah, see, you can't reason with any Kamala Harris supporters, though, because they lack any logic. It's like you can spend a lifetime trying to convince a fly that honey's better than they're still going to pick this woman is an empty vessel. 17 days in, she still has no policies. I actually looked on her website. Still nothing. She's been flip-flopping on all her stances, so we don't even know what she stands for. We don't know anything. We don't know anything, and they're still cheering her on. You know, the market crashed yesterday. I think we're about to go into a recession. Unemployment rate is what, at 4.2%. And the fact that they want to continue to vote for this disastrous person is beyond me.
I know that lady be having the time of her life cosplaying with y'all. I know when she go home at the end of the night, she be like, these N words with the ER, not the A, are so damn stupid. I don't have to waste my time writing no speech. I ain't got to waste my time telling them what my policies, morals, and stances is for the America and what I plan on doing for America. All they care about is the continued overall sexualization of Black women. All I gotta do is talk in a Southern accent. No, I'm not from not damn Southern state.
And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024.
And give them a little backyard barbecue with some check sodas and a little two-step. That's all they care about. They don't care about nothing else. I know she be like, y'all are so stupid.
Who remembers that? Who remembers the infamous Kamala Harris tweet? A whole bunch of minorities, not a single Black person. I'm going to tell y'all what she's going to do. She's going to bring back diversity, equity, and inclusion. Kamala Harris is going to bring back diversity, equity, and inclusion. But guess what? You will still be excluded because you don't understand how diversity, equity, and inclusion goes. She's going to include the East Indians, her family and race. Kamala Harris is going to take care of the East Indians, her family and race. Kamala Harris is an East Indian presidential candidate. She's going to take care of the East Indians. She's going to take care of the Asians, the Chinese. She's going to take care of the Latinos, the Native Americans, the immigrants, the rainbow gangers, the feminists. Guess who's going to be left out? Guess who's going to be left out of diversity, equity, and inclusion? Guess who's going to be left out? The Black folks.
Before y'all start calling my radio show and DMing me, talking about why you ain't asked no hard-hitting questions, that ain't what this is. I'm throwing a lob. This is an alley-oop for a dunk, because this administration needs to get the word out of what they're actually doing and what they're actually accomplishing, so we can stop all this foolishness about what you're doing for Black people. Can't nobody come out with no agenda and call it this for Black people and expect to get in the White House. You got to play the game different. Y'all know what this is. So now this next question is another lob for Honey Dunk. See, I'm on this radio show and I'm hearing all these people talking about, I'm not voting if they're not doing nothing for us. Listen to me. If you do not vote, the analytics will show. They know how many women vote, they know the age you are when you vote. If we don't vote, how we gonna ask for something next time? If you ain't got no voting power.
Next time. There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on. Next time, y'all. Shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
Fool me one time, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't put the blame on you.
The path to the White House runs right through this state. And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024. That's
Fool me 3 times, the peace sign loaded, let it rain on you.
Look at this. Now, they didn't just sign the Asian hate bill either. They gave them tangible benefits, resources, money, not millions, billions in the last 4 years, 26 billion in a year. And that's just from 2 federal programs alone, special set-asides for Asians. And the crazy part is the AAPI community, they never got this much before Kamala. No, they did not get this much until the first Indian VP got in there to fight for them.
So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No.
You know, they tell us to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps when they're not only giving Kamala's people the boots, they're tying them up for them. Let's go ahead and get the conversation started. Let me know what you think about this below. Special thank you to Rose.
the internet has been ablaze with video after video of people criticizing Kamala Harris, accusing her of not being for Black people, right?
Including yours truly.
And the question I have is that, like, why do so many people still believe because a person has Black skin, they're for Black people?
You know, I for the life of me, I can't get this. This is like, you know, Obama all over again. And I'll be honest, I think the reason is because we're emotional, right?
Yeah.
We're not fact-based. We're more based off of emotion. We're in a day and age where people are more concerned about the racism that they're never going to be able to rid, right? Than they are about the pedophilia that's sleeping itself through our government, right? That's an issue for me. And I think that when you ask people what type of policy is Kamala Harris running on, they can't say anything. The only reason they want to vote for her is because she's Black. And then what gets me is, you're telling me that I'm supposed to choose this woman just because she's Black? Well, you know, everybody's pro-Black until it's time to marry and procreate, right?
Ooh, this woman is cooking. Shout out to Angela Stanton. Angela Stanton King. I heard she was going by Angela Stanton now. Shout out to this woman. She is absolutely on fire, and she's 100% correct. When I ask people that say that they're pro-Black, because I don't identify as such, I'm pro-Christian, I'm pro-America, I'm pro-good person, I'm pro things that you can control, not things that you were inherently born as. When I ask people that are pro-Black, right, that align themselves with the community, well, what are the rules? What are the standards? Nobody can agree. Nobody knows. Everybody got a completely different mindset and narrative of what it means to be pro-Black. I say, okay, well, do you have to actually marry a woman or a man that is Black if you are pro-Black, if you are so much of an advocate for such a thing? And most of them say absolutely 100% yes. Most of them say yes, right? Okay, cool. Well, then if I'm to vote for somebody based off of identity politics, and if y'all are aligning yourselves based off of what pro-Black is supposed to be defined as, things that you can control, that's what you then contribute your money into, and you want your dollar to be able to circulate into an environment, especially if you're a woman marrying a man, because usually the children take on the identity and the last name of the man. It's supposed to be circulating within this community, right? But listen to the hypocrisy and the double standard that people live by because her husband is in it, right? The people that she support, the narrative, all of these things, until it's conveniently time in order to solicit your vote, and she don't even stand on no policies. Cook.
Right? She didn't choose Black when it was time for her to preserve the Black family, but I'm supposed to believe that I'm supposed to choose Black for her to preserve the Black family in the White House. We're not doing that. If she didn't have to choose Black, then we don't have to choose Black either.
Preach.
So we need to get off of this whole thing. Oh, they're just going to do something for us because they're Black.
Preach.
Well, maybe if she would have picked a Black man or had a Black kid, I probably could support that. But the fact that you are on an HBCU tour telling young Black women to abort their children while you're raising white children, that's the issue for me. That should.
And then on top of that, pick the vice president that is gender affirming, meaning that he is putting tampons inside of boys' bathrooms and then making sure that he leapfrog off of his stolen valor, according to what these reports are saying, and veterans are pissed at him. And so how can you say that you pro when you only conveniently are when it's time to solicit this woman cooking? She 100% cooking.
Be an issue for Black America, because y'all remember back in the day of slavery, we couldn't keep our kids, but you'll see them white kids sucking nana titties, getting breastfed. Yeah, we're not going to abort our children and raise theirs.
Hold on. I just want to jump back. And she was on her HBCU tours.
Yeah.
She's promoting abortion.
Yeah.
Like directly. Is it?
She wasn't at Yale. She wasn't at Dartmouth. She wasn't at, Princeton. She was at the HBCUs at a tour, a reproductive rights tour, telling young Black women to abort their children while she's raising her white husband's 2 white children. So why are we sacrificing our children for other children?
But what wording does she use? She wasn't out there saying abortion, was she?
I mean, what is reproductive rights?
Yes, there is. Yes,
What is reproductive
yes,
rights? Everything they've ever told us, we know that it's backwards, right? So what is reproductive rights? Let's be real.
She blazing Kamala.
What is it?
Kamala don't want stuff like this to happen.
See,
Right. Your right to do what?
Not
kill a baby, because it ain't your right to have one.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Okay.
Come on,
so
man. How many times have I said that they sitting there playing on words? People talking about woman's reproductive rights. No, you want the right not to reproduce. What the hell are y'all talking about?
They changed the word. They make it nice. Like before, it was, colored women. Now they saying women of color, right? It's the same thing. They just changed the words, right? It's supposed to be birth control, but it's really control birth to control the birth rate, right? Supposed to be Planned Parenthood, but it's really Parenthood planned, okay? God planned for you to have this baby at this time, but now you're going to let these people tell you, no, God ain't on time. I'm going to send that one back and have another one when I'm ready. Planned Parenthood is Parenthood paying. It ain't God's design.
This woman is 100% on point. I do not disagree with anything that she said with regard to Kamala Harris. I am going to go and watch the whole interview, and I'm going to link back into the description the link to the credit and the content creator that came up with this, because I always like to give credit where credit is due and support my creators, regardless of whether I agree with them or not. On top of that, I would love for you guys to make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well.
Y'all, welcome back. I'm Van, and we are all the LFR family. Shout out to you all. Thank you so much for clicking play. Hopefully, you click the like button as well. Like this video, like this video, like this video. Also, look at the bottom of this video. If you're feeling extra generous, hit the share button, copy the link, and go share it on X, Reddit, Facebook, LinkedIn, everywhere. Everywhere. Make sure you share it inside of Facebook groups and everything. This is going to be a really quick live stream, but I pray that God has blessed you and your family. I pray that you have given God all praise, glory, and honor. Even if you're going through a dark time right now, make sure that you have a prayer or two where you only thank God for the goodness of him and all that he has blessed you and your family with. And that includes, but is not limited to, that roof over top of your head, that water that's running through your pipes, that food in your refrigerator, them clothes on your back, your family and friends that you love and care about still being alive, and the fact that you have another day to experience and get it right. All right. So your life may not be all lollipops and rainbows, but at the end of the day, you are blessed. All right. So I came across this video, man, that I want to share with you all. All right. So Tulsi Gabbard was just now on Fox News, right? And when she was on Fox News, she was talking about Kamala Harris, and she was talking about how this administration would be and how Kamala is a puppet. I'm about to play this for you and everything, right? But because of that, she got placed on the no-flight terror list, the no-flight terror list. And the list of stuff that she has to do whenever she goes on a trip or something, all of the different people and police officers and dogs. Bruh, I can't imagine. Me and my family, we just now came off of a daggone cruise, and I can imagine having to have dogs with us and all this detail. She has to do that now, all because she spoke the truth about Kamala Harris. But I think that the real reason is because of this right here. Check this out, man, because I think that Kamala been beefing with her for a long day.
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting Black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response.
As the elected Attorney General of California, I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people, which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about re-entering former offenders and getting them counseling. It is why, and because I know that criminal justice system is so broken, that I am an advocate for what we need to do to not only decriminalize, but legalize marijuana in the United States.
I want to bring Congresswoman Gabbard back in. Your response.
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that.
Y'all mean to tell me every single day somebody pulls up on me inside of my Instagram, inside of my Twitter, and on my daggone YouTube channel, on Facebook, bruh, Van, are you really trying to tell me that you are leaning toward Trump? Because with the CP5 thing, you really trying to tell me that? Because Trump is responsible for the CP5. First of all, Trump is not responsible for the CP5 nothing, all right? But I want to just keep it a buck. Let's keep it real. Between Trump and Kamala, which one of them were far more detrimental to young black men? Just compare the two. Just compare the two. I'm talking, just compare the two. Listen, we ain't even got to do all of the he's racist, she's racist, they're black and all that. We ain't even got to do all that. Let's look at them. Look at the people that they are. Everybody that knows Trump speaks up for that dude. And everybody that know Kamala, well, Kamala wasn't even liked. Kamala barely got the votes to even run against these candidates. And when she was in this debate against Tulsi Gabbard, she got cooked. She got cooked. She got smoked. Smoked with the SH. Smoked. She got smoked by Tulsi Gabbard. And now she's on the daggone terror list because of this right here.
And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
Senator Harris.
And hold on. So what happened was, so she went on to the Fox show, and she just now realized, hold on, I'm about to share this bad boy with y'all because hold on. Listen, I'm ready for y'all tonight, god dang it. I am ready for y'all tonight. All right, so as y'all can see, she says retaliation. A few weeks ago, I had the audacity to tell the truth that Kamala Harris would essentially be a mouthpiece and puppet of military-industrial complex and national security state. The next day, July 23rd, they retaliated. Sadly, this is what we can expect from the Harris administration. I'm not even going to talk a whole lot. I'm going to play this joint and we'll talk after. I promise you, you're going to appreciate it. And also, D, when you pull up, let me know. Let me know when D pull up so I can make her a mod, okay? Thank y'all so much for pulling up, guys. Y'all are absolutely amazing. I really appreciate y'all giving me a moment of your time. Just know that I do truly value your time, all right? And D, when you pull up, let me know so I can make you a mod. All right, let me play this joint right here.
What exactly did Tulsi Gabbard do to get added to the terror watch list? It came the day after she criticized the Biden administration right here
Listen to this. Listen to this.
Our foreign policy decisions are being made by unelected people in the military-industrial complex who are profiting from us being in a constant state of war, and the national security state that has more power to undermine our freedoms and liberties when we are in a state of war. Kamala Harris does not have the strength to stand up to the military-industrial complex.
Okay, that's wild. Joining me now, Tulsi Gabbard, former U.S. Congresswoman, Fox News contributor. Tulsi, now you serve this country in uniform.
Now, listen. What you're about to hear, if you haven't heard it already, what you are about to hear happened to her. And because of a whistleblower, she has this information. But what you're about to hear is going to disgust you, man. It's going to disgust you that you can't even say anything. What type of country are we in where we can't say anything about our government without being punished? That sounds like one of those other little Asian countries to me, if you ask me, Jack. And yeah, I'm lifting up my arms a little bit, show y'all the guns because I've been working on the guns. Yeah. I'm tired of being skinny, god dang it. So I'm back in the gym. I'm back in the gym, baby. All right, let's play this.
Even getting deployed to Iraq. Thank you for going, unlike Tim Walz. And now you're being surveilled. I mean, it's a form of surveillance, or hassling and intrusion upon your freedom to move by the government. What is this? I mean, I didn't believe it really when I first heard about it. I said, "Oh, that can't be." But how does this make you feel?
Laura,
Make
this
you
is a
feel
clear
up,
act of
James?
political retaliation. There's no other way to put it. You laid out the sequence of events the very next day after my conversation with you on the air, warning the American people about how dangerous a Kamala Harris presidency would be. I was placed on this domestic terror watch list, which is called the Quiet Skies list under the Department of Homeland Security. The clear pain and real visceral hurt that comes from this is, as you mentioned, like many Americans, I enlisted because of the terrorist attacks on 9/11 to go after the Islamist terrorists who attacked us on that day, and to now have my own government now turn around and put me on a domestic terror watch list. It hits
All
to the
for
core and
criticizing
is the ultimate sense of betrayal. But we look at why they are doing this. It has a
Hold up. Go ahead, Sam. Go ahead, man. Man, this guy that wrote Vicious V right here. Me and him, we went to the movies when we were in the 5th grade to go see I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, man. We skipped school to go to the movie theater to see I'm Gonna Get You Sucker together, man. One of my longtime friends. What's going on, Sam, man? I didn't know you was watching my live, bro. Now I gotta watch what I say. Much love to you, big homie, man. I love you, brother. All right, let's get back to it. As y'all saw, so she went onto the show and she just made one little statement, and now she is on the terror watch list. All right, hold on. We're gonna continue to play this. I'm gonna take it back just a second. Here we go.
Because of the terrorist attacks on 9/11, to go after the Islamist terrorists who attacked us on that day, and to now have my own government now turn around and put me on a domestic terror watch list. It hits to the core and is the ultimate sense of betrayal. But we look at why they are doing this. It has a chilling effect. It sends a warning both to me and to anyone else who even thinks about daring to criticize our own government, which is a guaranteed protected right under the First Amendment.
Yeah.
That we will be subject to a violation of our Fourth Amendment right to privacy through this kind of surveillance. And
Now, she said we dare not say anything to our government, say anything against our government. That's like one of those Asian countries. Y'all already know that, man. But then just think about where we are right now. The first black woman Supreme Court justice can't even say the word woman. She can't say what a woman is now because woman has been changed and shifted. Our First Amendment rights have been taken away from us. Our Second Amendment rights, they're fighting to take that away from us as well. That's the only reason why I lean the way that I lean now. That's it. Like, we want to talk about not having our rights taken, but it seems like the Democrats are always the ones that say that they're taking away our rights. Have you seen Project 2025? Have you seen? You ain't got to look at no Project 2025. Look at what we can't say right now. Our rights have already been stricken away from us. Like, we are losing them day after day after day, and we continue to follow after Canada like some dumbasses.
I received a particular screenshot in which I'm going to go over here in just a moment. But it talked about Black Democrats, many of them that we see who we consider to be in the Boule. Some of them you see as talking heads on large TV networks. Joy Reid, who's really Congolese. Yeah. And then you have Roland Martin, who is Haitian American, Haitian African American. I'm not sure, but these are people who are Democrats known for speaking on behalf of the Black community. And this particular tweet was shocking. In the tweet reads by Najma Sharif, shout out to her. The majority of Black, brown liberals are middle class, upper middle class. They love to project and say we shall have no stakes in this election when all they care is for representation because they suffer from deep self-esteem issues and imposter syndrome. Don't argue with them. She also says this: all they want are White House dinner invites and to see themselves like you can't reason with people like this. They're children. They want mommy and daddy to recognize them. Ignore them the same way they ignore the rest of us unless they want to coerce us into voting. I sat there and I thought about it. And I said, these people who are Democrats, who are very talented, went to great schools, have great work ethics, they don't really have a clue about what's going on in Black America because of their position and their society. And this brought me to a recent documentary that I've seen called Inside the Negro Middle Class of 1968. I'm still yet to watch all of it, but it is great. And basically the problems that were happening at that time are still happening now, okay? This is right in the civil rights movement. You had a lot of your Black Boules there. There's a particular guy, talented guy, I believe he went to NYU, and he's talking about how he didn't really feel a connection to the Black community because of how he grew up and what's going on in Black America. What he's gonna say is very troubling, but it's the truth to his perspective.
I guess it's clear to see now that the Negro who is truly struggling looks askance at us. They are the upper middle class or the middle class. They don't understand our problems. We don't need them. They're of a dying era. The Roy Wilkins and the Whitney Youngs and the Philip Randolph, possibly. We don't understand, and they don't understand. I don't know where it's going to lead to. For instance, myself, I'm born and reared in New York, always having been in a kind of a middle class structure. Never suffered too terribly. Went to integrated schools, got an education in the New York school system, a college education. At 17, I dated white girls. There was some displeasure at it, but I did it, and I had no guilt about it. For some reason or the other, I never associated myself with the welfare recipient, the unemployed person. And now I realize that these are my people, that I should be able to do something for them or with them. But yet I haven't. So that, I think, is where the guilt comes in. I have empathy for my people, but yet in my middle class value, I still kind of think of them as those people. And I'm aware of it. And I think a lot of people in my particular class, if you will, is aware of it, but we're reluctant. We are just imbued with this white middle class value where we think white. So I take the position that these people have been denied, and I continue to say these people. Notice that. I continue to say these people. And like I'm not one of them, when in fact I am one of them. I take the position now that I should help. I should do what I can. I have begun to protest. I will now picket. I will now speak out with my white counterpart about the injustices that have occurred to my people, when before, say, 15 years ago, I kind of behaved like it didn't exist. But now when I read, when it's brought to the front about housing and about job discrimination, I realize now that this did exist when I was younger, but I was just oblivious to it. I didn't think as a Negro, but now I'm thinking as a Negro.
And this is something that is very, very true. The Democrats who are urging the blacks to vote, you see, their lives are different from the rest of the people in the community that live in, you know, the hard parts of Oakland, California, that live in the hard parts of Chicago. They don't live there. Let me give you a story. I moved to Uganda full-time 2022. I had no idea, and still don't, and can never understand the suffering of the average Ugandan person. I live in a pretty nice neighborhood. I live an American lifestyle. I have a big refrigerator like an American, a stove like an American, a microwave like an American. I basically recreated what I remember in America to make my life comfortable here. But to say that I understand what somebody experiences in Kamocha or in Kawempe, or a person that lives $1 a day, I could never explain it. I've never lived it. I'm so far removed from what they've experienced, I can't even make a comment on it. Even if I would have experienced it myself, I don't. Same thing in the 80s and 90s. My dad was on crack cocaine. We were on food stamps. I remember how it is being poor. I remember how it is when your mom tell you to hit the deck, get on the carpet, get on the ground because people are shooting bullets. But I'm so far removed from that, I don't remember what it's like. I know what it's like now after going to, undergrad, going to medical school, building somewhat of a successful business, traveling all over the world, going to every continent almost, living on 3 different continents before age 40. That's an amazing feat that most people will never have. But I've gotten out of touch with reality. But I'm not so far removed that I don't know about how suffering is in Black America. See, when I grew up in Black America, my dad was on drugs for a part of my life. And the resources that I needed to make it in my life was not there around me all the way. It was gangs around, it was drugs around, it was the streets around. Your mom can't handle you once you get 15, 16 years old. And you don't have that many people to put you on the way to go to college, go to medical school. When you really out there trying to figure out your life because your daddy ain't there. So those are the issues that Black America has. But I come from that, so I kind of understand it, but I am kind of far removed. Roland Martin and these other guys are very far removed. They're taking pictures with presidents, dinners. And the reason why they want you to keep voting Democrat, although it don't help you, is what's in it for them. That's what the post is saying. What is in it for them? High-powered Black politicians have a lot to gain while other Blacks have a lot to lose. It's the truth. It's not that Roland Martin is going to give a part of his salary up to help Black people. No. High-powered Democrats that are doing business, that have connections to the DNC, they don't want to give that up. And if that means more single Black women and single moms losing their lives in East St. Louis, in Philadelphia, and our brothers and sisters going to jail, in Southwest Philadelphia, East Oakland, West Oakland, who cares? It don't matter. Let them suffer. What's in it for me? It's no different than what happens with political corruption in Africa. What happens in political corruption in these great countries here. As long as I get something out of it, what's in it for me? Then you lead your people down the path of fire. It's policy why Black men and Black women don't get along like they should. It's policy why Black men hate each other. And Blacks have helped catalyze that destruction of a relationship. They've helped us since the 60s, and they say they love us. It's to keep people infuriated with other parties being racist. We know that white Republicans have racists there. That's true. It's a lot of Trump supporters on the alt-right that hate blacks, don't want nothing to do with blacks. I get it. I understand that. But you don't want to admit that the biggest haters of blacks are right there in the Democratic Party. Joe Biden, the rest of them too. Everybody dislikes blacks on either side. Let's be honest about it. Let's just talk truthfully about it. Okay? But the biggest issue that I have are the blacks that keep leading us into that burning house because they simply benefit. Then when you don't have nothing, you want to blame the white people. Don't also blame them. Blame Roland Martin. Blame Joy Reid. Blame Kamala Harris. These are the people that keep your destruction going because it helps their career. It helps their life. Think they care about what's going on in Houston? Most of these black Democratic cities are the poorest in the nation. No resources. What did the black community ask for in 1992? When Bill Clinton came into office, the black community wanted resources, work programs. Roland Martin, don't talk about that. He's not concerned with that. What matters is Roland Martin get his money. And he's known in the DNC. Built more jails in the Bill Clinton era. You don't talk about that. What's important for him is that he get his money. All of these things that have occurred, it's not important as long as they get what they got to get from it. And that's the sad part about what's going on. What do they gain from it? Then when your people is out here suffering, like all around the black world, because you wanted to get what you wanted. But guess what? People who are loyal to money ain't loyal to nothing. And we're going to continue to be beat out by these boules in the DNC. And yes, the Republicans have theirs too. Don't get me wrong. But we have boules who are anti-black. And those are the ones who set the community back because they traded us for a check. And they still trading us for a check. Our loyalty, our suffering for a check so their kids can go to Harvard and Columbia and maybe marry white people. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea D. Jackson back with Fair Use. I'm out.
Luther Campbell is reaching out to black men. Yes, Luther Campbell wants black men. He has a message for us. And I want you to hear his call to black men because it's very important. And let's just go ahead and have this conversation.
The message to all black men who left the Democratic Party for the MAGA Party. I'm going to offer you this one-time opportunity to come back. You can come back. You have until Sunday, 12 high noon. It will take you back. It will take you back. There's no more blue, no matter who. There's Kamala Mana, bang, bang. Kamala Mana, bang, bang.
But it's safe to say we know who he's voting for. But Luther Campbell, let's have that conversation about black men. So you recognize, and a lot of Democrats recognize, that black men, such as myself and many others who's out here listening right now, do not want anything to do with the Democrats. And I'm going to correct a lie that he told. Not all black men went over there to MAGA. A lot of black men say, I'm not dealing with MAGA. I'm not dealing with vote blue no matter who. I'm going to stay in a powerful position. My power position is to be politically independent. Why? Because nobody can demand anything out of me. They have to ask me for my vote. They got to give me something for my vote. That's the power position. Going over there to Republicans is not the power play. No. And a lot of black people have started to understand the power play is to stay right in the middle politically, is that you don't have no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, just permanent interest. And that's what black men in particular, and some black women are trickling in too, and into that mindset. Now, Luther Campbell, why should we get away from our freedom in political independence and go back to the Democrat Party? What are you offering? What is the Democrats offering? Because currently what's on the table, that is not a party for straight-laced alpha black men, black American men. Let me make sure I say that in particular. Black American men. Now, if you're an immigrant, that's different. It's for you. If you're LGBT, they give you tangibles. If you are a woman that wants abortions, that's a perfect party for you. But black men, straight-laced alpha black men, that is none of our interests. We're not immigrants. Our people built this land. Okay? Abortions has nothing to do with us. So what are you talking about? Come back to what? Nothingness? Come back to what? Disrespect? And when black men was in that party, what were black men told? Shut up and vote when we bring up concerns about black men. What were black men told? Just follow the women. Just be quiet and follow the women, right? We're the only men that's emasculated like that in that party. You don't emasculate the Hispanic man, the white man, the Asian man, the Arab man, the Native American. You don't emasculate no other man like that but the black man. Why would a black man stay in a party to be disrespected? What else you tell the black man? You don't know what you're talking about. When a black man wants something, he's scolded. When a black man wants something, he's shamed about his ancestors. Why would black men return to that kind of abuse? Why? That doesn't make sense. That's like telling a woman who had a horrible Tyler Perry movie husband whipping her butt. She gets away from him. She's starting to do good. And somebody trying to tell her and convince her to go back to the same house where the dude was whipping her butt every day. She would be like, I'm not going over there. I'm happy. I'm doing great. Nobody whipping my butt every day. Why would I go back to that? It's the same thing that black men are saying. Why would we go back to that? To disrespect, emasculation, abuse. Why would we go back to that? Not being prioritized. You could use our votes, but not prioritizing black American men. No. The only kind of black men you're going to promote is black men who is bug broken, black men who is sassy, and black men who are immigrants. That's the only ones you're going to promote. Boule members. That's it. You're not going to promote the everyday straight-laced black man. You're not promoting them. So why would black men go to that? That would be dumb. You can say whatever timeline you want. You're going to be sitting up there waiting by yourself. But why you want black men to come back? I thought y'all had it, right? You got the immigrants. You got the LGBT. You got all the women talking about unaliving their children in the womb, right? You don't need us. Leave us alone. We wasn't worth anything. Because we were worth something, you will prioritize us, right? Don't worry about who we going to vote for or not vote for. Ain't your business at this point. See, black men, let me tell you something. The black American man in particular. The most powerful thing you can do as a man in any situation is walk away. You don't argue. You don't throw a fit. Just walk away. When you get up and walk away from something, nobody can stop you from doing it. Nobody. And that's when you take your power back. Look, when you arguing, when you pleading, you're begging, someone else has the power at that point because you're pleading, begging, arguing them to treat you right. But when you say, you know what? Man, hell no. I'm done. And you get up and walk off, that's always a more powerful thing. Now, I know I've talked about this before with relationships with men, and that, you know, you got a bad situation and all that, and you just tried everything you could try, and you say, okay, all right, cool. I'm gonna let you do you. Trust me. Even in relationships, when men walk off, notice how the women just lose it because they're not used to men walking off, right? That's why our power is walking off. See, men, you are more logical, and you got to think in logic. You can't let them draw you to feelings. Even though we are human and we have feelings, we have to think logically. And men logically, what is they are offering logically to us as men? A lot of us, we have jobs. A lot of us, we have our own businesses. Are we working on those sort of things? What logically are they offering us as Black American men? Think about that. That party is undermining Black American men. What are they doing about the economy? Black American men concerned about that, because whether you got a business or not, this country is ran on business, and y'all better get that in your head real quick. If your job that you're working, no matter how much it makes, how much you're making, if the economy is bad and it's bad for businesses, guess what happens? Hey, DeAndre, I'm gonna have to go ahead and lay you off, because the economy. You understand what I'm saying? They got people on that side that vote with feelings. But then when they get in the thick of a problem, they're like, oh my God, I didn't know. Because they're guided by feelings. Your feelings is where you will always mess up. You never make major decisions off of feelings. You make major decisions when you're calm, cool, collect, and using logic, period. And as men, that's what God put us in the area of logic. Women work in feelings. Men work in logic. It don't make no logical sense. They offer nothing with the economy. They offer nothing for business. They offer nothing with tax breaks. They offer nothing. They're trying to get into wars. It's going to take men like yourself over to other countries to lose your life for what? For what? It doesn't make logical sense. So they try to throw, racism and this and that. Barack Obama had 8 years. He didn't end no racism, and Black men voted for him. It's just that simple. Think about it, Black men. When you want something, what do they tell you? They can't just do something for Black people. It's not just Kamala. She said it, but it's all of them say that. But then you get to sit there and watch them do for men of other groups right in your face. When they did that Asian hate crime bill, there was another group of men that got a protection that me and you did not get, Black men. We didn't get that kind of protection. The Democrats protected Asian men, not Black American men. Why in the hell will we go just en masse back to that party that had just been doing us so wrong as Black men? That don't make sense. These immigrant men that come in here, they papering them up left and right, papering them up. Well, while the Black American man is homeless, while the Black American man is losing his job, while Black men in California are losing their businesses because the Democrats are targeting Black men over there and women. But we talk about Black men targeting them. And when it hurts Black men, it hurts Black women, Black children. They're targeting them. Black men can't sell hot plates on the street. Black men can't sell barbecue or nothing on the street, but they'll let men of other communities and their wives show up and make quesadillas and empanadas and sell it, and nobody telling them nothing, because the Democrats are targeting Black American men. And as long as you playing with them in their sandbox, that's how they get you. When you walked away from that and you're here, you're not over there with Trump. Even if we like some things that Trump's talking about, we're not over there with him. We're not walking around no MAGA hat on, no Trump shirt or none of that. No. It ain't about nobody, no personality. It's about what you gonna give me. That's it. That's all I want to hear. What you gonna give me? If you're not gonna give me nothing, cool. Don't worry. Leave me alone. I'm straight. I am straight. I'm not gonna lose no sleep over none of y'all. Leave me alone. Talk to me when you're gonna give me something. That's it. It can't be transactional. Yes, it can. Everything has to be transactional. You want something from me? You got to give me something in return. It's just that simple. You don't want to give me nothing in return? Don't worry about it. We ain't gonna go that route. Go talk to the immigrants and all of them. Go holler at them to vote for you. Because I know right now you're working on a way to try to get them to vote for you, right? That's illegal, but hey, you're gonna try. I know how y'all get down. But why would Black American men go to that? You're offering nothing. And then brothers, they're going to play the same game. Well, what Trump is offering you. Is Trump in my face? Is Trump telling me to come to the Republican Party? And last time I saw, Trump was actually sitting down with black men talking about business. Where's the video of Kamala sitting down with black men talking to them about business? Trying to see what she gonna do to help black men, not minorities, black American men in particular. And I said black American men. You understand? Where's she at sitting down with black men? She's not doing it. You never see her sitting down and talking with black men, but you want they vote. You shields and surrogates, it's not going to work. Black men understand, and if black men going to vote whatever candidate they vote for, that's what they choose to. But I'm going to tell you this much. I just watched a video the other day, a bunch of millionaires, and the dude was asking these millionaires, hey, who you going to vote for? And now one of them said they were going to vote for Kamala. None of them. Why? Because those men are in business. And those men want to keep money in their pockets, and they want to keep the employees, employed, gainfully employed. See, men, you got to understand, the economy is everything. If you don't have no money, you have nothing in this society, in America. What you got to think, what candidate is better for the economy? That's all you got to think. What candidate had a track record with a better economy? Look at the economy right now with Biden and Harris. Look at the economy with former President Trump. Now, you want to ask me about the economy? I'll go with Trump all day. You want to ask me about business? I'll go with Trump all day. Definitely on those two things. Immigration, I'll go with Trump. Definitely. Geopolitics, I'll go with him on that too. That's about the four things that I go with him on for sure. Because I'm looking at what the Biden-Harris administration has done, and they have not. I mean, they have not shown me they could do it. And do I want a continuation of that as a black man? No. Black men don't have the luxury of safety net programs. Who's giving black men food stamps, welfare, Section 8? Who's giving us that? We are stuck on our own. We're going to be homeless. You better be thinking how well the economy is going, black men. And that party right there is only for Boule, the sassy, the buck broken. It's for immigrant men. It's not for black American men. Sorry, it's not. In order for us to be ingrained back into that party literally has to be turned upside down and flipped on its head to get us back in that party. And they're not going to do it because they are cemented in what they want to do. And the only way they're going to change their mind, they have to lose. And that's okay. Because we got time. We got nothing but time. Brothers, come to the political middle. Don't go to Republican. Don't go join the Republican. Say, I ain't joining you. What are you doing for me? And if you're not doing nothing for me, don't worry about it. I got a nice couch right here. I'm cool. I got some great popcorn. I'll watch the election results on TV, see what you did, and I'll see what my lack of participating has done too. It's just that simple. Well, if you don't participate, then that's going to be Trump will get elected. So, what does that mean? We had 4 years of Trump. So I was actually bailed off financially. So what? So what if he get elected? And well, if you're so worried about Trump getting elected, give something up to black American men. Give us some tangibles. If you begging us to come back, that shame don't work. We cool on that. Black American men are the most hated men on the planet. Man, we used to that junk. I mean, come on. Well, you black men, you gonna cause them to lose the election. So, well, everybody gonna be suffering. Well, at least we suffering together. Not us suffering and watching other men get papered up and protected and everything else. I believe in equality. So, hey, we all should collectively suffer, or we should all collectively benefit. Not gone them days when we're watching other groups of men benefit and black American men suffer. They ain't happening. We're tired of that. We're not gonna be the men that's gonna be grabbed literally by the nostrils of our nose and led by a woman. They ain't happening. No, we doggone men. And you know what? And you see what's happening in response? Now the women are starting to follow the men to that political middle too. Why? Why? Because women respond to men who lead. That's why.
You are interviewing me, Dana, because I respect the American people enough to sit down for an interview.
I appreciate that.
Kamala Harris has been the nominee for 3 weeks. She hasn't sat down for a real
Believe
interview.
me, we are asking. You're not going to get a disagreement there.
But the point is, Dana, you've got me for 15 minutes or however long you have me. I think we should talk about the issues that most Americans care about.
I only asked you a question about that.
Dana Bash from CNN glitches after JD Vance did something she was not ready for. This is the DeVory Darkins Show. All right, so there's a lot to get to in this video. JD Vance sat down for an interview with CNN, Dana Bash, and of course, she was not prepared for what he ended up doing. So you're going to want to stick around and watch this entire video because it's really broken up into 3 parts. Part number 1 is about Governor Tim Walz's military service and how he misrepresented that. The second part is about the childless cat lady comment that, you know, Dana Bash and CNN and these propaganda puppets do not want to let go of because they have to use something to try to diminish Trump and his campaign. And part number 3 is more about Trump and how he's been attacking Kamala Harris and calling her out and how CNN pretty much is triggered by it. So without further ado, let's hop into these clips.
You talked about one of the things that he said, weapons of war. He was talking in a campaign stop about, he was trying to talk about gun control.
Sure.
And he said, weapons of war I carried in war. I will say that the Harris-Walz campaign did say that the governor misspoke there.
Sure.
Do you accept that?
He misspoke. Another word is that he lied about it, and he didn't correct the record for 15 years until he was put under political pressure because I called it out, Dana. Whatever you want to call it, a misspeaking or a lie, I think Tim Walz should have to correct the record. Now, you pointed out a soldier who defended his service. There have been a number of soldiers who served with Tim Walz who have criticized him on the exact same grounds that I have because it's not right to misstate or to embellish what you've done. And I think that's what he did.
And on the question of when he left the National Guard, he filed his election paperwork February 10th, 2005. That was a month before the National Guard even announced that it was possible that they would deploy to Iraq. And it ended up being 2 months. He retired 2 months before they actually got the paperwork.
But on CNN last night, Dana, one of the people who was actually in charge of him said they knew they were going to deploy to Iraq in February of 2004, fall of 2004. So he knew he was going to Iraq. He decided to quit, to retire, whatever word you want to use, because he wanted to run for Congress. He lied about that. He said that when he decided to retire, he did not know that he was going to Iraq. That is another untruth, as even his senior military officer said. So again, I'm not criticizing the service. I'm criticizing the dishonesty. Dishonesty spoken in favor and for the purpose of political benefit. And I think that the most important thing here, Dana, is it goes to Kamala Harris's judgment.
Okay, so let's cover 3 things that he pointed out during that response with Dana Bash. Number 1, while Tim Walz served in Congress, he kept being addressed by retired command sergeant major. He is not a retired command sergeant major. That is a misrepresentation of his military service. In that context, that is stolen valor. Point number 2, the command sergeant major that was actually in charge of him, so they were going to deploy together, said that he was notified in November of 2004. So even if we take Dana Bash at her word that he retired in February of 2005, he was already notified in November of 2004. And part number 3, which is how manipulative the campaign is and how the media is supporting them, talking about, oh, well, he just misspoke. Okay, so he's been misspeaking for the last 15 years then, right? And now all of a sudden he wants to be honest, but he's only being honest because the national spotlight is on him, so he has to correct it. You see, if he just would have told the truth that he was a retired master sergeant, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But he put on his bio, which is still there, Minnesota.gov, his bio still reads retired command sergeant major. That is stolen valor. And that speaks to the judgment that Kamala Harris has, which she doesn't have any really. And that's how pathetic they think the American people are, that we're not going to pick up on this. And get this, to make matters worse, the lieutenant colonel who was in charge of Tim Walz in that unit put out a post on Facebook exposing Tim Walz. Let's read that really quick. So here it is. It is offensive to the non-commissioned officer corps that he continues to gloam onto this title. Now, I would say he continues to use this title for political gain. I could sit in the cockpit of an airplane, but it does not make me a pilot. Similarly, when the demands of service and leadership at the highest level got real, he chose another path. There you go. All right, let's hop back over here.
Kamala Harris has 2 stepchildren. Pete Buttigieg and his husband have adopted twins. Do you recognize them as parents and more broadly as being part of families?
Well, of course I do, Dana. I mean, you know my life story. I was
I wouldn't
actually
say of
raised.
course.
I
You
was
call them out
raised,
by
but Dana,
people.
I was raised. I
By-
mean,
by name.
one of the first people that I gave a hug to after my RNC convention speech was my stepmom, who's been an incredibly important person in my
So
life.
she's not
my
childless
kids. My
then?
kids call her Mamaw. Of course, she's not childless. But
You
again,
called her that.
the criticism. I certainly did not call my own stepmother
No.
childless.
Kamala Harris.
I criticize Kamala Harris for being part of a set of ideas that exists in American leadership that is anti-family. I never, Dana, criticize people for not having kids. I criticize people for being anti-child. And I do think that Kamala Harris
think she's
has made some
anti-child?
bizarre statements. She has said things like, it's reasonable not to have children over climate change. I think it's the exact opposite message we should be sending to our young families.
Okay, so JD Vance makes a phenomenal point. It's actually something that is not talked about enough, but could lead to the destruction of our country as we know it because of 2 things, the birth rate and the marriage rate. And what we're going to do right now is take a look at both of them and how they've been declining over the years. And the reason why is because of the rhetoric coming from the government. You know how the government doesn't want to talk about religion or use the word God. They also do not want to promote marriage. They do not want to incentivize people for being married, right? They incentivize people for being single and not having kids. It's even gotten to a point where they're saying not having kids is good for climate change. So let's take a look at this. Okay, so right now what we're looking at is the birth rate. Okay, so if we go back to 1960, the birth rate back then was 3.65. You know what it is today? 1.66. It's not good. And so at this point, you might be wondering, okay, why is this a problem, right? Is this really that big of an issue? Well, Elon Musk was able to explain this in a way that I think everybody can understand. Let's take a look at that clip.
And the birth rate has been dropping like crazy. Take Japan, for example. I think, I'm just going off memory here, but I think the population is roughly 110 million. But last year, if you take the number of children born times the life expectancy, which is 85 years, it's very impressive life expectancy, then Japan would have, I think, around 68 million people, roughly half of the current population. That does not tell the full story because those that you would have an upside down demographic pyramid. You already have an upside down demographic pyramid where, you know, a lot of old people, very few young people. And, you know, so how is this, that upside down demographic pyramid is unstable.
Okay, so I believe he explained it very well. And it's not looking good in the future if we keep encouraging people not to have children. And the other side of this equation is also our marriage rate in America, as you guys can see, from 1900 to 2018. Look at the drop. It's literally, it's in half, right? So in 1900, we were at 68.2%. And then it just dips from there, as you guys can see, currently 31.3. And so what is this speaking towards? It's speaking towards these principles and these values that these politicians have, the rise of feminism, and these radical ideas that degrade people for having children or being married. There's this whole trend on social media where they celebrate women for not having kids and degrade women who do have kids or live a traditional lifestyle in the home. So it's absolutely radical in my opinion. But let's hop over to the next clip.
Donald Trump has been attacking Kamala Harris's racial identity.
He has not been,
He-
but ask your question.
Well, he questioned her racial identity. He said a number of years ago, she happened to turn Black. Her father is Jamaican. Do you believe Kamala Harris is Black?
I believe that Kamala Harris is whatever she says she is, but I believe importantly that President Trump is right that she's a chameleon. She pretends to be one thing in front of one audience. She pretends to be something different in front of another audience. Look, Dana, she's not running a political campaign. She's running a movie. She only speaks to voters behind a teleprompter. Everything is scripted. She doesn't have her policy positions out there. She hasn't answered why she wanted to ban fracking, but now she doesn't. She wanted to fund police, but now she doesn't. She wanted to open the border, but now she doesn't. She should have to answer for why she presents a different set of policies to one audience and a different set of policies to another audience. And I think that's what President Trump is getting at. This is a fundamentally fake person. She's different depending on who she's in front of.
With respect, you
Please.
changed your position on an important thing, which is Donald Trump.
Of course I did.
You-
And
so
I'm
why are
honest
you not a
about it.
chameleon?
Because, Dana, I've
Her-
explained to the American people
And
what's
so did she. She said Joe Biden was a racist, and then he picked her for VP. So I don't know why they keep bringing that up.
different. People change their minds when the facts change. They should. But if you want to be the people's vice president or president, you should have to stand before an interviewer and say, this is why I changed my mind. So to everybody who's seen that I criticized Donald Trump, since he asked the question, here are two things.
You didn't just
about-
criticize him. You said he could be America's Hitler.
Well, that's a criticism, and I didn't say that exactly, but set that to the side. What I said about Donald Trump and what I believed about Donald Trump, two things that really change. First of all, I didn't think Donald Trump would be a good president. He was a great president. Wages were rising. The world was more peaceful. Remember, when Donald Trump was running for president the first time, they said he would start World War III. He brought more peace to the world than any president of my lifetime. The second thing, Dana, is I believed, and I'm ashamed of it, I believed a lot of the media lies about Donald Trump in 2016. I imagine a lot of folks who are thinking about voting for Donald Trump in 2024, maybe they've bought in to the media lies about him. Think for yourself, look at what he actually said, and I think you'll find that he's, one, a very engaging guy, but two, was a very good president.
There aren't media lies. We play him
Well,
and we let him speak for
media
himself,
lies.
and so people are getting exactly.
I'm not
what-
Wow, she can't even be honest about the lies, right? And of course she won't, and none of them will, and they'll never say that they have lied. And it's just sad. So 3 points as we wrap up this video. They keep saying that Donald Trump is going out there and questioning Kamala Harris's race. The problem is he would have never questioned it if the media did not question it at first. What came out of their mouth before he spoke on it? Hey, do you believe that she is a DEI candidate? People are talking about her racial
asked
identity.
him,
They led
"Do you
with that,
believe
the
she's
media.
black?"
So then
They're
he
doing it.
responded. And now they're acting like they never even asked him that question. So disingenuous. It's crazy. Number 2, she is as fake as they come. We know this. I say this all the time. I could respect someone that I disagree with, but I know they truly believe in their values, in their principles. I don't know what she believes in. I don't know what she stands for. All I know is she's one person one day, another person the next day. Now she's plagiarizing, Donald Trump and copying his policies. I mean, what's next, right? Can she be her own person? No, because she's a puppet at the end of the day. And I think this is why they love that she is the candidate, because they can use her in any way that they see fit to make sure that Trump does not make it back to the White House. And point number 3, which is the purpose of this channel, is to think for yourself. As JD Vance pointed out, he was one of the biggest critics of President Trump back in 2016 when he first ran for president. But he did his research and he realized, okay, well, maybe he's not as bad as the media says he is. And it's upon you and me and anybody else to actually get up and do your research and use critical thinking skills. And the Democratic Party is banking on the fact that you will not. And the Republican Party, they're banking on the fact that you will. So this is why we have the channel, to get the message out there. So make sure you like this video. Make sure you share this video. Comment on this video. We got to get it out to more people. And so as I wrap up here, I think JD Vance is a phenomenal pick for VP. Listen.
the IRS taxing the hospitality workers in the United States on their tips. Except she's the vice president of the United States, and she and Joe Biden have been in power for 3.5 years. She could this night determine that the hospitality workers of the United States of America can keep their tips free of taxation. Anyway, she stole that policy from Donald Trump, who stole it from Ron Paul. She steals accents wherever she goes. She was in Nevada today. God knows what accent she addressed them in. When she's in front of a black crowd, she's Kamala from the Hood, talking like a rap artist. When she's in Nevada, where there was not a black face to be seen today, presume she was, leaning towards her Indian heritage. Most of the crowd seemed to be from the subcontinent. But Kama Chameleon is rising in the polls. And Donald Trump doesn't look to me like he has got the fire in his belly that he is going to require. Maybe that shot that he took to his ear has knocked some stuffing out of him. But if he's not careful, they're going to rig 2024 just like they rigged 2020. And they can only do that if Trump does not win overwhelmingly and absolutely decisively. Jill Stein, my candidate, looks like she's on track for 5% of the national vote, despite not being on every ballot, despite the Democrats who said democracy was on the ballot, going to court after court after court to try and keep the Green Party candidate off the ballot. But if she gets 5%, she will, and they will, hereafter be on every ballot. And not just that, they'll receive millions in matching funds from the US government. There is everything to play for if you are a radical in America. Get your votes behind Dr. Jill Stein, the only Jewish candidate in the race. Although, ironically, sometimes you think the American election is about nothing but the Jewish people in the United States and around the world. But there's only one Jewish person on the ballot, and they don't want to mention her because she's the only candidate who opposes the so-called Jewish state's apartheid repression of the Palestinian people and their genocidal onslaught on the people of Gaza. 100 people and more at prayer, praying the dawn prayer, Al-Fajr. 1 second they were praying, the next minute they were literally mince meat. Not a single whole body remained from an American 2,000-pound bomb which smashed into the prayer service and literally decimated, cut into ribbons and pieces the people at prayer at that dawn early hour. They say the darkest night is just before the dawn. This was the worst massacre since the last worst massacre, the place and name of which you've already forgotten, and the people in power in Western countries never knew in the first place. Remember the Al-Ahli Hospital massacre? Remember the Flower massacre? Virtually nobody does. Massacre after massacre. Now, if the Muslim world, if the Muslim Ummah actually had been a thing, then this would have been the final straw, surely. More than 100 people in the act of prayer, making sujood and cut to pieces in such a manner that nobody got a body to bury. They were literally handed plastic bags of human mince meat. That would have been the final straw for, I don't know, the likes of Turkey, wouldn't it? Would have been the last straw for the likes of Saudi Arabia, wouldn't it? Would have been the last straw for Gaza's neighbor, Egypt, Gaza's Palestine's neighbor, Jordan. That would have been surely a Rubicon that had been crossed, but sadly not yet, at least. The Houthi leader said about 6 hours ago that the revenge operation for the murder of Shukr, the Lebanese resistance leader in Beirut, and the murder of Ismail Haniyeh, the Palestinian resistance leader in Tehran, was underway. An oddly specific word. It clearly hasn't meant that the rockets were already in the air, but it must mean that the engines are turning, don't you think? Certainly the CIA thinks, certainly the CNN thinks, certainly all Western capitals said on Friday that the revenge attack will begin within 72 hours. 72 hours will be up pretty shortly. Iran has just said that its air response will last 3 to 4 days. The fact that it specified air response suggests to me, a student of the English language, that there will be other longer responses, but that the air traffic better stay out of the way entirely for 3 to 4 days. So the remaining people in Israel, and hundreds of thousands of them have fled the country, many never to return, no doubt, will better have stocked up on their luxury products in their air raid shelters. Because it's no wish of mine, and I doubt it's any wish of Iran, and it's explicitly not the wish of Iran's most powerful allies, Russia and China, that civilian people in Israel should be killed and maimed in these attacks. These attacks are likely to be upon military and political infrastructure in Israel. And if they're going to last 3 to 4 days, it's not likely that much of that military and political infrastructure will still be standing at the end of it. This is a revenge attack of a new type. This is a special military operation, and it will be hybrid in character, I'm perfectly sure. It will be economic, it will be electronic, it will be aerial, and it will be on land. Of these things, I am perfectly sure. Now, what Israel will do at the end of these retaliatory revenge attacks will decide whether we go into World War III in East Asia. Sounds like George Orwell, doesn't it? Oceania has always been at war with East Asia, as it said in 1984. It's beginning to be true in 2024. But whether we go into World War III in East Asia will be determined by what the United States government, if it still has a government. Joe Biden's just been on television explaining that he was overthrown. He was the victim of a coup, that prominent Democrats came to him and told him that the Democratic Party was afraid that he was hurting them further down the ticket in the congressional and Senate and gubernatorial races that will take place on the same day as the presidential election in November. Nancy Pelosi, in a rare moment of sobriety, said that when she read Joe Biden's resignation letter, and I quote her, it didn't sound like Joe Biden at all. That's because it wasn't. Even his signature was forged on that piece of paper that went out as a tweet and has never been properly explained. The Democrats overthrew Joe Biden because of his advanced senility, which means he's not making the decisions about what the United States is going to allow its Israeli attack dog to do at the end
of the hybrid revenge attacks that are about to begin possibly this very evening. So if it isn't Joe Biden who will decide, who will it be? Kamala Harris? You serious? Kamala Harris will make a decision that will decide whether or not we end up in World War III in East Asia? Because, of course, if Israel and its United States ally launches a significant attack on Iran, then Russia and China are already committed through the security agreements that they have reached with Iran to defend the Islamic Republic, rapidly becoming one of the big three of the axis of resistance, to American political, military, cultural, and economic domination of the globe. Iran, the BRICS, the SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, they are all where it's at. We are so yesterday, we are so last year, we are so last decade. And instead of recognizing that and moving alongside it, seeking cooperation with it, our lunatics in charge of our asylums are determined upon war. The head of the German army, the Germans have still got an army, the head of the German army said today that Germany will be at war with Russia within the next 5 years. So I say, bring it on, Fritz, because it ended so well the last time. Bring it on, Fritz. I'm getting a little bit fed up after a mere 40 years of doing so, watching the reruns of the crushing of the Nazi beast in the rubble of Berlin. Bring it on, Fritz, in 5 years, a war between Germany and Russia. But it might be much sooner than 5 years, because in a surprise package, Zelensky, on his own volition, we're told that NATO was not consulted, has invaded Russia, invaded the province of Kursk, where the greatest tank battle in history turned the tide of the Second World War, even more than the victory of the Red Army at Stalingrad, which could still have been reversed by the Nazi beasts. They mounted the biggest armored clash in all history at Kursk, and the Soviet army and armor prevailed. And after that, it was one long, unbroken charge towards Berlin and the aforementioned rubble. Well, Zelensky will live or die by this maneuver. I'm here to tell you my opinion. It's not Russia's opinion. They haven't said so. But my understanding of the nuclear doctrine of the Russian state is that this crosses the line into an existential threat to the Russian Federation, which gives Russia the authority under its doctrine to have first use of nuclear weapons, presumably battlefield nuclear weapons. So if the Ukrainians don't surrender, and they may yet, if the Ukrainian incursion into Russia is not crushed and decisively defeated, and it has not yet been, though there have been setbacks, then I fully expect President Putin to use battlefield nuclear weapons to end this invasion of his country. Because it's a NATO invasion, because the weapons that are being used are all NATO weapons, because there are hundreds, if not thousands, of foreign mercenaries. We assume they're mercenaries. Maybe they're there officially, but let's assume they are foreign mercenaries. And last but not least, there is significant evidence that the Ukrainian invasion of Russia has had recourse to the use of chemical weapons, principally chlorine. You see the yellow flames behind me. There are mass casualties of gas poisoning amongst the defending Russian forces. So when you break the prohibition on the use of weapons of mass destruction, when you invade Russia, as both Napoleon and Adolf Hitler did quite easily, then you have to face the fact that Russia will do anything at all to repel you, to repel the invaders, and to deliver a decisive message to them. It's easy to invade Russia. It's a gigantic piece of real estate, the biggest country in the world. The problem is how to get out of Russia without your invaders being destroyed. Both Napoleon and Hitler failed in that regard, and Zelensky ain't no Napoleon. And lastly, I was speaking last evening
With each passing hour, it becomes increasingly clear that what Kiev is doing in Kursk region has turned into a safari for Russian drones as they continue to burn Ukrainian military equipment supplied by NATO. On Saturday, August 10, 2024, the Russian Defense Ministry showed the FPV drone tracking and destroying targets at the border area. This time, FPV drone destroyed in the American International M1224 Max Pro MRAP armored fighting vehicle. The armor, which costs between $500,000 and $1 million, was seen puffing smoke from the impact of the cheap Russian drone. FPV drone operators from Wagner Group have reportedly also begun to take action against Ukrainian invading forces that have entered Russian territory. Footage from August 9 shows them using their drones, attacking everything, not only burning enemy personnel, but also destroying military equipment. On the same day, drones recorded the movement of Russian soldiers who cut off Ukrainian advance, who tried to storm Russian positions, but were hit by a crushing blow from drones and ATGM. They tried to rush into the forest, hiding in the residential sector, but inevitably received Russian metal hammers on their positions. The armored group of troops was destroyed. After the equipment was completely thwarted, the wounded were finished off by being dropped from UAV during the evacuation. After that, Russian UAV operators dealt with those who were not killed, dropping ammunition from drones. The open landscape allowed Russian drones to move freely, while the wooded area still did not provide perfect cover for a surprise Ukrainian attack. The work of Lancet drone is always interesting to discuss. The operators of the reconnaissance drone detected Ukrainian troops, who were transporting some heavy equipment including self-propelled guns, at Kursk-Sumy border zone, north of Sverdlikovo on Koronivo-Sudza direction. From the video, it can be concluded that the Kiev troops were not only conducting a raid, but also to gain a foothold, where they have begun to build fortifications, with the aim of holding the Russian territory as long as possible. The operators of Lancet drone and military aviation not only thwarted the plan, but also with lightning speed Lancet destroyed their armored combat vehicles. Ukrainian 2S1 Gvozdika self-propelled gun 122 mm, Polish Krab self-propelled gun, and American M777 howitzer, the Russian Defense Ministry reported on August 9. In addition, another M777 howitzer 155 mm was attacked on the Kursk front by kamikaze drone, Cub UAV, owned by Zala Aero Kalashnikov Company. The howitzer was in firing position, attacked by two drones, but the first drone seemed to be less precise and missed the gun itself directly. However, the second drone managed to damage M777 with shrapnel, and also set fire to the gunpowder not far from the howitzer, which was hidden in the foliage of the nearby forest, so that its ammunition was completely destroyed by a powerful explosion. The images show that these Russian drones are deadly, flying in one direction and never returning. The results are very effective, destroying the Ukrainian military heavy weapons and assault troops, which is evidence of the seriousness of the situation in Kursk region. So far, Kiev's advance has been halted, but the task of removing Ukrainian troops from there remains. In fierce fighting, the Russian armed forces have completely liberated the village of Martinivka on Russian sovereign territory. Currently, the operation is still ongoing, including with the help of a number of drones scanning the area, which showed that the Ukrainian foothold on Saturday had decreased. The Russian armed forces have dealt a heavy blow to an Ukrainian armored column, coming from the front line on the borders of the Kursk region. The Russian Defense Ministry released fresh footage on August 11, 2024, showing the convoy of vehicles about 17 miles northwest of Sudza, confidently trying to move southwest, but now spotted by Russian reconnaissance. These are likely the hard-pressed troops who attacked Olgovka, Kremyanoy, Durovka, and Vetrano, but now the map shows that the area has been taken over by Russian forces. Furthermore, a reconnaissance UAV operator confirmed the location of the enemy column. More of the Russian army's most powerful Tornado SMLRS hit Ukrainian positions in Kursk. The uniqueness of this modified machine is that it is capable of delivering strikes using high-precision 300mm ammunition, equipped with satellite guidance. Using cluster ammunition, this time Tornado wiped out the armored column, in which a total of 5 vehicles that made the dangerous journey were completely destroyed. At least 20 Ukrainian servicemen were eliminated, in significant accuracy and firepower. Russian forces are gradually curtailing the activity and destroying Kiev's sending forces. Recent footage from Russian military correspondents shows an Ukrainian group returning from its position after a Russian attack. They are carrying away their comrades in arms in Western vehicles, some of whom are fortunate enough to be among the wounded. The strategic defeat of Kiev's plan has resulted in a significant reduction in the widening of the gap, and the activity of mobile groups no longer yields the same results, as was observed before August 11.
Salute, family.
After the invasion of the armed forces of Ukraine of the Kursk region, the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation publishes official statements regarding the situation in this sector of the front almost every day. And today was no exception either. So, a few hours ago, the Russian military department officially announced that the situation in the Kursk region is gradually beginning to stabilize. It is reported that after the arrival of experienced units of the Russian army in the Kursk region, the situation of the armed forces of Ukraine began to deteriorate rapidly. According to the Russian military department, over the past 3 days, the armed forces of Ukraine have lost about 1,200 soldiers. Official representatives of the Russian military department clarified that in the last 24 hours alone, the armed forces of Ukraine have lost about 200 soldiers. In addition, the Russian High Military Command continues to send Marine Corps, airborne forces, elite special forces units, and experienced UAV operators to Kursk. Unfortunately for the Ukrainian General Staff, all this flow of powerful force into the Kursk region is carried out not from other sectors of the front, but from the central and northern military districts of Russia. It seems that the Ukrainian General Staff and their NATO advisors have again miscalculated and underestimated the military capabilities of the Russian Federation. The Ukrainian High Military Command and NATO generals were confident that Russia would transfer troops to the Kursk region from other directions of the front. However, in reality, everything turned out exactly the opposite. Commenting on the situation in the Kursk region, the commander of the Vostok Battalion of the Armed Forces of the Donetsk People's Republic, Alexander Khodakovsky, said that the armed forces of Ukraine had made a big mistake. According to him, time is playing against the armed forces of Ukraine. Every day the intensity of the fighting in the Kursk region increases and it becomes difficult for the Ukrainian army not only to move forward, but also to create a layered defense, in order to hold a bridgehead. In this regard, the armed forces of Ukraine have almost completely changed their tactics, deciding to avoid direct clashes with units of the Russian armed forces. In general, over the past 3 days, a gradual transition of the initiative to the Russian troops has been observed in the Kursk region. There is no doubt that the armed forces of Ukraine will soon be forced to flee the Kursk region. However, if Russia leaves everything as it is, the attacks of the Ukrainian army on Russian border towns and villages will continue. The main purpose of these attacks is not the seizure of Russian territory, but an attempt to shake up society in the Russian Federation, sow panic among Russian citizens, and increase feelings of discontent with the Kremlin's policies and Vladimir Putin personally. In Kiev and the West, they are confident that all this will help create a favorable ground for a coup d'etat in Russia, and stop the advance of the Russian army and critical for the armed forces of Ukraine directions of the front. However, unfortunately for the Kiev authorities and the leaders of the Western world, Russia constantly violates their plans. The main mistake of the Kiev authorities and their Western patrons is that their decision to attack the Kursk region led to the fact that the front line significantly expanded. And this fact will have a very negative impact on the armed forces of Ukraine, especially given the chronic shortage of manpower. Moreover, now Russia has a good reason to create a buffer zone also in the Sumy region. It is obvious that after the expulsion of the armed forces of Ukraine from the Kursk region, Russian troops will not stop and will reach the city of Sumy. By the way, the armed forces of Ukraine have already retreated from the settlement of Koronivo and continue to retreat westward from the city of Sudza. A few minutes ago, the mayor of Sudza, Vitaly Slashchev, officially confirmed that the armed forces of Ukraine do not control the city. According to him, Ukrainian propaganda spreads a photo on the web showing the soldiers of the armed forces of Ukraine in front of the Gazprom branch building, and declares that they are allegedly in the city of Sudza. This photo was taken in the early days of the invasion of the Kursk region, in the village of Zayaloshenka. The Ukrainian army does not control the city of Sudza, and the armed forces of Ukraine even fled the village of Zayaloshenka. Don't believe the Ukrainian propaganda, Vitaly Slashchev said. Meanwhile, the commander of the Chechen Spetsnaz Akhmat, General Apty Yaladanov, said that the Ukrainian High Military Command had deployed significant forces to invade the Kursk region. According to him, the amount of enemy forces and military equipment destroyed by Russian troops indicates that the Ukrainian High Military Command was very seriously preparing for an attack on the Kursk region. Moreover, General Apty Yaladanov noted that the armed forces of Ukraine has deployed about 10,000 soldiers in the Kursk region, including ardent nationalists and mercenaries from NATO countries. In particular, the general emphasized that many French and Polish citizens are fighting on the side of the armed forces of Ukraine in the Kursk region. Against this backdrop, General Apty Yaladanov stated that the military operation in the Kursk region is led exclusively by the command headquarters of the NATO bloc. General Apty Yaladanov stressed that the armed forces of Ukraine would never have been able to plan and carry out an attack on the Kursk region on their own. Russian war correspondents also confirmed the words of the commander of the Chechen Spetsnaz. According to them, not only ardent Ukrainian nationalists participated in the attack on the Kursk region, but also commandos from NATO countries, mainly from Poland and France. According to war correspondents, Russian soldiers constantly hear French and Polish speech during radio intercepts. Moreover, the Russian military also confirmed that last night, 17 ambulances with dozens of corpses and wounded French and Polish commandos went towards the city of Sumy. Thus, it can be stated with confidence that the Kursk region was attacked not only by the Ukrainian army, but also by NATO forces. For the 7th day in a row, the Russian armed forces have been fighting hard against the units of the Ukrainian army that invaded the territory of Russia. The grouping of Russian troops under the designation Sever and fresh reserves of the Russian army quite effectively cope with the task. As of August 12, 2024, Russian troops managed to stop the offensive of the Ukrainian army in the Kursk region, and also forced the units of the armed forces of Ukraine to begin retreating in several areas. According to Russian and Ukrainian war correspondents, Russian troops significantly advanced along the main highway, leading from the city of Kursk to Sudza. In addition, war correspondents confirmed that the units of the armed forces of Ukraine were forced to retreat from the area near the settlement of Koronivo. Moreover, on August 10, the Chechen Spetsnaz Akhmat, together with the 810th Brigade of Marines of the Russian Armed Forces, managed to dislodge the Ukrainian army from the settlement of Martinovka. It is reported that with heavy losses in manpower and equipment, the units of the armed forces of Ukraine fled from Martinovka in a westerly direction. At the moment, Russian troops are preparing for the main battle in the Kursk region. We are talking about the area north of the ring on the bypass road around the city of Sudza. This area is still under the control of the armed forces of Ukraine. And Russian troops urgently need to dislodge the Ukrainian army from this area. Only after the liberation of this area of the territory, the Russian troops will be able to breathe freely, since the threat of encirclement of the city of Sudza will completely pass, and the enemy will be forced to retreat in a westerly direction, leaving behind a fairly large area of territory. According to war correspondents, fighting in this area should begin in the coming hours. At the same time, it is worth noting that many military experts and analysts cannot understand the logic of the actions of the Ukrainian High Military Command. For example, a few hours ago, footage appeared on the network of the destruction of a self-propelled artillery installation of the armed forces of Ukraine in the village of Kazakhilatnya, located 9 kilometers north of the city of Sudza. After seeing these shots, all adequate military experts came to a state of shock. They still cannot understand why the Ukrainian High Military Command places artillery systems ahead of the advancing units of the armed forces of Ukraine. Against this backdrop, it seems that the Ukrainian General Staff receives inaccurate information about what is happening on the battlefield, and therefore gives such stupid orders that eventually result in huge losses in manpower and equipment for the Ukrainian army. In particular, due to these inadequate orders of the Ukrainian General Staff, the Ukrainian army lost the deputy commander of the artillery division of the 80th Airborne Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Major Boris Stepanuk. Let me remind you that this high-ranking officer of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and several dozen Ukrainian soldiers were killed in the first days of the invasion of the Kursk region. All this indicates that the Ukrainian High Military Command does not have a clear plan of action in the Kursk region, and that the Ukrainian generals are counting solely on luck in this adventure. It seems that many officers of the armed forces of Ukraine also understand this perfectly well, and begin to express their dissatisfaction with the actions of the Ukrainian High Military Command and, in particular, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine General Sersky. So, the deputy editor-in-chief of the German newspaper Bild, Paul Ronsheimer, referring to his own sources in the Ukrainian army, said that many officers of the armed forces of Ukraine condemned the incursions into the Kursk region. According to them, the Ukrainian army is being defeated in the Donetsk region, losing several settlements every week. And against this backdrop, they do not understand why the Ukrainian High Military Command spends a huge amount of manpower and weapons advancing in the Kursk region, when all this force could be sent to Donbass, in order to liberate Ukrainian territories. At the same time, many Ukrainian officers expressed confidence that the armed forces of Ukraine would be physically unable to stay in the Kursk region for a long time, and that sooner or later they would be forced to flee.
German journalist Paul Ronsheimer fully agreed with the Ukrainian officers.
According to him, the Ukrainian High Military Command should have used the remaining resources in the Donbass, Zaporizhia, and Kherson, and not sent them to Kursk for the sake of a dubious adventure that could end badly for the entire Ukrainian army. Meanwhile, war correspondent Yuri Kotnak said that against the backdrop of the failures of the armed forces of Ukraine in the Kursk region, the Ukrainian army began to use forbidden weapons. In particular, the commander of one of the units of Spetsnaz Akhmat, with the call sign Hades, said that the Ukrainian army began using artillery shells with chemical warfare agents in the Kursk region. He noted that it was chlorine. According to him, his unit knocked out the Ukrainian armed forces from several heights, and immediately after that the Ukrainian army struck with the help of Western 155mm artillery ammunition filled with chlorine. It is reported that a gray cloud formed at the place where the shells hit, and Chechen and Russian soldiers immediately felt ill. The soldiers started vomiting and convulsing. Against this backdrop, war correspondent Yuri Kotnak called on the international community to launch an investigation into this war crime. If this fact is proven to be true, the Ukrainian army will be accused of using chemical weapons banned worldwide. However, one can be sure that Western countries will ignore this case and turn a blind eye to what is happening, even amid hard evidence. Moreover, seeing everything that is happening, it becomes clear that the armed forces of Ukraine may also begin to use depleted uranium shells against Russian troops. In any case, the Russian army must be prepared for any development of events, especially against the backdrop of numerous defeats of the armed forces of Ukraine. Russian troops must understand that the more the Ukrainian army loses on the battlefield, the more dangerous and unpredictable it becomes.
A recently leaked report from Israel has laid bare a significant vulnerability in the nation's much-touted Iron Dome missile defense system, casting doubt on its effectiveness against the advanced missile technology developed by Iran. The report, which reveals that the Iron Dome is capable of intercepting only about 5% of Iranian-made missiles, serves as a powerful testament to Iran's growing military prowess. This revelation comes amid heightened tensions following the assassination of Palestinian politician and negotiator Ismail Haniyeh, for which Iran is preparing to retaliate. Despite facing challenges, the open-minded thinker news team, OMT, remains committed to delivering accurate news reports from across the Middle East, particularly Palestine. Support our mission by liking, sharing, and subscribing to help us reach a wider audience. For years, Israel's Iron Dome has been portrayed as a near-infallible shield, crucial in protecting the nation from rocket and artillery attacks, particularly those launched by Hamas from Gaza. However, this new information exposes a critical weakness in the system, challenging the narrative of Israeli invulnerability. The fact that Iranian missiles can so easily penetrate what has been deemed an impenetrable defense underscores Iran's significant advancements in military technology. In the spotlight on this current reality is Moti Shifa, a prominent Israeli space engineering expert. Shifa has made waves with his stark assessment of Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system, calling it the biggest deception that the world has witnessed. His comments have raised significant questions about the efficacy of one of Israel's most celebrated military technologies, particularly in the context of recent confrontations with Iran and Hezbollah. Schieffer's critique centers around the Iron Dome's performance during Operation True Promise, a missile and drone assault launched by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, aerospace force, against Israeli military targets in the occupied territories. According to Schieffer, despite the Iron Dome firing 500 missiles in response, it failed to shoot down a single Iranian missile. This admission starkly contrasts with official Israeli military reports, which have often touted the Iron Dome's high interception rates. Schieffer suggests that the Israeli military spokesman is either deliberately misleading the public or is unaware of the true capabilities of the system. The implications of Schieffer's statements are profound, particularly when considering the broader strategic environment in the Middle East. The Iron Dome has been a cornerstone of Israel's defense strategy, providing a sense of security against missile attacks from adversaries such as Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon. However, Schieffer's claims cast doubt on the system's effectiveness, particularly against more advanced missile technology from state actors like Iran. The True Promise operation, which took place in the early hours of April 14th, saw the IRGC Aerospace Force launch tens of missiles and drones at Israeli military targets. This attack was a direct retaliation for Israel's April 1st airstrike on the consular section of Iran's embassy in Damascus. According to General Gholam Ali Rashid, commander of Iran's Khatam al-Anbiya headquarters, only one division of the IRGC Aerospace Force was involved in the operation, and even then, it used just 20% of its offensive capabilities. Despite this limited engagement, the operation reportedly overwhelmed Israeli defenses, raising serious questions about the preparedness and effectiveness of Israel's air defense systems. General Rashid's account further underscores the gravity of the situation. He revealed that the US, NATO, CENTCOM, and Israel had mobilized an extensive array of military assets in anticipation of a potential Iranian attack. This included 240 fighter jets and multiple anti-missile air defense systems deployed on US warships in the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea, as well as within Israel itself. Despite these extensive preparations, the IRGC's missile strike reportedly succeeded in penetrating Israeli defenses, challenging the perceived invulnerability of the Iron Dome and other anti-missile systems. The broader implications of these events are significant. If Schieffer's assertions are accurate, the Iron Dome's perceived effectiveness is not only exaggerated, but may also be strategically misleading. The belief in the Iron Dome's capabilities has likely influenced Israel's military and political decisions, potentially leading to an over-reliance on a defense system that may not be as foolproof as advertised. Furthermore, Schieffer's reference to Hezbollah's missile capabilities highlights another pressing concern for Israel. Hezbollah, which has close ties to Iran, has amassed a significant arsenal of missiles and rockets, many of which are capable of reaching deep into Israeli territory. During past conflicts, Hezbollah's missile strikes have caused considerable damage, and the group's growing capabilities pose an ongoing threat to Israeli security. Schieffer's comments suggest that Israeli officials have struggled to contain this threat, further complicating the country's security landscape. The revelation that the IRGC Aerospace Force utilized only a fraction of its offensive power during Operation True Promise suggests that Iran possesses a much larger and more potent missile capability than what has been demonstrated. General Rashid indicated that the remaining 80% of the IRGC's offensive power was held in reserve, ready to be unleashed in a subsequent wave of strikes if ordered. This admission is particularly concerning for Israel and its allies, as it indicates that Iran has the capacity to escalate its military operations significantly should it choose to do so. Iran's military achievements, particularly in missile development, stand as a stark contrast to Israel's now questioned defensive capabilities. Despite facing years of international sanctions and embargoes, Iran has built a formidable missile arsenal, including the Fateh 110, Chiam-1, and Shahab-3, which are renowned for their precision, range, and ability to evade interception. The leaked Israeli report not only validates these capabilities, but also highlights the growing power and influence of Iran in the region, proving that it is more than capable of defending its interests and those of its allies. This revelation carries significant strategic implications, particularly for Israel and its allies. The once unquestioned assumption that Israel's missile defense systems could protect it from any external threat has been shattered. The realization that Iranian missiles can bypass these defenses forces a re-evaluation of Israel's security strategy and its ability to maintain regional dominance. Moreover, the implications for Israel's regional allies, including the United States and several Arab states, are profound. These countries have long relied on Israeli technology to counterbalance Iran's influence in the Middle East. Now, with this newfound understanding of the limitations of Israeli defenses, they may need to reconsider their reliance on Israel and instead look towards diplomatic or alternative military strategies that acknowledge Iran's growing capabilities. The exposed vulnerability of Israel's defenses is likely to embolden Iran and its allies, particularly Hezbollah, which has long been a thorn in Israel's side. With this new information, Hezbollah and other groups may feel more confident in their ability to challenge Israel militarily, knowing that the supposed shield provided by the Iron Dome is far from invincible. Before we delve into the implications of this new development on Israel's ability to continue its actions in the Middle East, particularly against countries like Iran, especially as the world faces the possibility of significant retaliation from Iran, let's take a moment to examine some of the formidable missiles Iran has developed. These missiles demonstrate Iran's capability to confront Israel and re-establish its deterrence posture, aiming to prevent future Israeli aggression. Of particular interest are Iran's hypersonic missiles, designed to evade even the most advanced defense systems. Let's begin by exploring the Fateh 110, Qiyam-1, and Shahab-3 missiles. The Fateh 110, Qiyam-1, and Shahab-3 missiles represent significant milestones in Iran's missile development program, each contributing to the country's growing military capabilities in the Middle East. These missiles have been developed over several years, reflecting advancements in precision, range, and survivability against missile defense systems. Their proven capabilities are increasingly recognized as a formidable challenge to Israel's security, particularly in light of the recent revelations regarding the limitations of Israel's Iron Dome defense system. The Fateh 110 is a short-range ballistic missile, SRBM, that has gained attention for its precision and reliability. With a range of approximately 300 kilometers, the Fateh 110 is capable of striking targets with a high degree of accuracy, which is achieved through its advanced guidance systems. This missile has been repeatedly tested and used in various conflicts, demonstrating its effectiveness in hitting specific targets with minimal deviation. The precision of the Fateh 110 makes it a particularly potent threat to critical infrastructure, military bases, and urban centers within Israel, potentially overwhelming defensive measures and causing significant damage. The Qiyam-1, another SRBM, further enhances Iran's missile capabilities with a range of approximately 750 kilometers. Unlike the Fateh 110, the Qiyam-1 is noted for its lack of stabilizing fins, a design choice that makes it more difficult to intercept. This missile is designed to evade missile defense systems like Israel's Iron Dome by altering its trajectory during flight, reducing the predictability of its path. The Qiyam-1's range allows it to strike deeper into Israeli territory, extending the reach of Iranian forces and their allies. The missile's ability to bypass interception significantly increases its threat level, potentially rendering Israeli defenses less effective. The Shahab-3 is perhaps the most strategically significant of the three, classified as a medium-range ballistic missile, MRBM, with a range of up to 2,000 kilometers. This range brings virtually all of Israel within striking distance, including key military and civilian targets. The Shahab-3 has been a cornerstone of Iran's deterrent strategy, designed to deliver payloads over long distances with a reasonable degree of accuracy. It has undergone several upgrades since its initial development, improving its precision and reliability. The Shahab-3's extended range and payload capacity make it a serious consideration for Israel, as it could be used in a coordinated attack to overwhelm Israel's missile defense systems and inflict considerable damage. The collective capabilities of these missiles, ranging from the precision strikes of the Fateh 110, the evasive maneuvers of the Kiam-1, to the long-range reach of the Shahab-3, present a complex and multifaceted challenge to Israel's security. In the context of a potential conflict, these missiles could be employed in a coordinated strategy to target Israel's critical infrastructure, military installations, and population centers. The ability of these missiles to evade or overwhelm Israel's defense systems, as suggested by recent reports, could undermine Israel's strategic advantage in the region. This evolving missile threat from Iran could significantly alter the balance of power in the Middle East. If Israel's defenses are indeed vulnerable to these advanced missiles, it may face an unprecedented challenge in maintaining its security and deterrence posture. The possibility that these missiles could bypass the Iron Dome and other defensive systems underscores the potential for Iran to project power and influence in the region, complicating Israel's security calculus and forcing a re-evaluation of its defensive and offensive strategies. Hence, by implication, Israel may attempt to bolster its defenses, possibly by seeking out new technologies or enhancing its existing systems. However, these efforts are unlikely to match the pace at which Iran has developed its missile capabilities. Iran's technological advancements have not only leveled the playing field, but have also put Israel on the defensive, fundamentally altering the balance of power in the Middle East. Diplomatically, Israel will now face the difficult task of reassuring its allies that it remains a reliable partner in the region. However, this may prove challenging as the leaked report has cast significant doubt on Israel's ability to protect itself, let alone its allies. This shift could open the door for Iran to strengthen its influence and alliances across the region, offering itself as a counterbalance to Israeli and Western power. The leaked report on the Iron Dome's vulnerabilities marks a turning point in the ongoing conflict between Israel and Iran. It not only underscores Iran's military strength, but also signals a potential shift in the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East. As Israel struggles to come to terms with this new reality, Iran's position in the region is likely to grow stronger, further solidifying its role as a key player on the global stage.
The United States has allowed its athletes to cheat in international sports for a decade now, including in the Olympics, according to the World Anti-Doping Agency, which is the international monitoring group that makes sure that athletes do not use illegal drugs. The World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, published this bombshell statement in August that reveals that since 2011, the US government's anti-doping agency, USADA, has allowed US athletes to use illegal substances in violation of sports rules in the name of turning those cheaters into spies. So the US government is allowing its own athletes to cheat and then using them to spy on other countries' athletes, accusing them of cheating. The hypocrisy is extremely blatant. This should be a huge scandal because in 2020 and 2022, Russia was banned from participating in the Olympics over allegations that Russian athletes had been using prohibited drugs. It's also extremely ironic because for political reasons, the US government has been accusing China of supposedly allowing its athletes to use drugs. And this means that at the Olympics this year in Paris, Chinese athletes have been drug tested more than any other athlete from any other country. Chinese swimmers, on average, are being subjected to 21 drug tests per swimmer on the Chinese Olympic team, whereas swimmers from the US Olympic team are only being subjected to 6 drug tests per swimmer. And from European teams or Canada or Japan, those athletes are only being subjected to 4 tests per swimmer. Now, it should come as no surprise that international sporting events like the Olympics are deeply political. They are not apolitical.
China still was
And the US government has frequently accused foreign countries of engaging in illicit behavior like using drugs, or, for instance, the US Justice Department officially publicly accused Russia and Qatar of bribing FIFA in order to host the World Cup. And now the US government is slated to be hosting the Olympics in 2028 and in 2034. But this scandal means that if the International Olympic Committee actually acts in a neutral way that is not biased in the interest of the US, although that's a big if, because in reality, as I'll show in a bit here, the International Olympic Committee is completely dominated by the West. Almost all of its officials that run the IOC are from Western countries. But if they decide to act neutrally and not in the biased interests of the United States, this means that the US may be blocked from hosting the Olympics in 2028 and 2034. Now, a quick point of clarification that's important. The US Anti-Doping Agency claims to supposedly be independent and claims it's not a governmental organization. That's very misleading. The US government funds the USADA, and the US Congress oversees the USADA. So technically, it's not directly run by the US government, but it's essentially a semi-governmental organization. Claiming it's an NGO, a non-governmental organization, is completely misleading. Now, the scandal started when Reuters, the British mainstream media outlet, published an article on August 7th titled "Athletes Undercover, Global and US Anti-Doping Agencies Clash Over Tactics." This headline is very misleading. In reality, this is about how the US government has allowed its athletes to cheat for a decade, and Reuters is portraying it as a political disagreement. But Reuters' bias is not that surprising, because we now know that during the first Cold War in the 1960s and 70s, the British government funded Reuters in order to spread propaganda and disinformation against the Soviet Union and other countries with socialist governments. But despite its bias, Reuters obliquely acknowledged the fact that the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, has accused the US agency, USADA, of breaking the global code by letting several athletes it caught between 2011 and 2014 violating drug rules go undercover and keep on competing without prosecution in exchange for information on other violators. And the US government claims that the tactic is necessary and allowed and wants to keep using it. Now, that is completely absurd. The World Anti-Doping Agency has explicitly said this was not allowed, and several US athletes have been breaking the rules for years now. In the statement, WADA notes that the US agency has allowed athletes who had doped to compete for years without ever publishing or sanctioning their anti-doping rule violations. This US government scheme threatens the integrity of the sporting competition, and USADA was in clear breach of the rules. And it notes that despite the false claims by USADA, WADA did not sign off on this practice of permitting drug cheats to compete for years. And when WADA found out about this non-compliant practice in 2021, a decade after it had started, WADA immediately instructed USADA to desist. And WADA found examples of at least 3 cases where athletes who had committed serious anti-doping rule violations were allowed to continue to compete for years while they acted as undercover agents for USADA. And in one of these cases, at an elite athlete level, there was an athlete from the US who illegally used these drugs, cheated, and competed at the Olympics and other international events, and admitted to taking steroids and other dope, and yet was permitted to continue competing all the way up to retirement. Their results were never disqualified. The prize money was never returned. They were never suspended. The athlete was allowed to line up against their unknowing competitors as if they had never cheated. And the US claimed that this would put the athlete's security at risk. But that's what the US always says. This is obviously an excuse. Now, what is also part of the scandal is that WADA did not say anything, and WADA said it was put in an impossible position and it had no choice but to agree. I think that's an excuse. WADA should have publicly disclosed this. The US government has been allowing cheating now for years with no consequences. And WADA says, oh, we had no option but to allow this for years because we were afraid of endangering the cheaters that the US has been supporting. That's an excuse. This statement from WADA notes that the athlete's doping was never made public. And it notes that there are other examples of, quote, high-level athletes from the US who were cheating. And then WADA concludes this statement saying, I'm going to read this quote. This is an exact quote. How must other athletes feel knowing that they were competing in good faith against those who were known by USADA to have cheated? It is ironic and hypocritical that USADA cries foul when it suspects other anti-doping organizations are not following the rules to the letter, while it did not announce doping cases for years and allowed cheats to carry on competing. And by the way, this is just scratching the surface of the scandal here. In fact, in July, the World Anti-Doping Agency put the USADA under a compliance review, accusing the US government-funded agency of violating the rules. I'm reading here from Reuters. The World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, will take the United States Anti-Doping Agency, USADA, to the Independent Compliance Review Committee next month, which would be August. And this could jeopardize the US hosting of the 2028 and 2034 Olympics. This is a result of the US government-funded agency accusing, drumroll, Chinese athletes of supposedly doping. This is from 2021. The US accused 23 Chinese swimmers of supposedly doping, but in reality, an investigation that was accepted by the World Anti-Doping Agency showed that this was because of contamination from a hotel kitchen where the Chinese team was staying. So this was a false accusation of doping against the Chinese team made by the same US government-funded agency, which for a decade now has allowed US athletes to use drugs. So here we can see how the Olympics once again have become a political battleground. Even British state media, the BBC, acknowledges that there's a kind of US-China conflict. This is the new Cold War that the US is waging against China. And the BBC interviewed the head of media relations for WADA, who said that, quote, certain individuals in the US are attempting to score political points purely on the basis that the athletes in question are Chinese. The result is that the US has created distrust and division within the anti-doping system. And this is why Chinese athletes are being harassed with a ridiculous number of dope tests, drug tests, on average, at least for the swimming team, 4 times more than members of Western teams, because the US has weaponized these allegations for political reasons to try to kneecap China, its major geopolitical adversary. And in fact, China's anti-doping agency is accusing the US of not actually taking action against its athletes who use illegal drugs. And in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, China's agency accused the US, 31% of US athletes, of not having sufficient drug tests in the 12-month period before the 2020 Olympics. So what has been the US government's response? Well, the US Congress is now threatening to cut funding for the World Anti-Doping Agency. This was reported on July 30th by Reuters. So the US government is saying, if you are going to take action against our athletes who cheat, fine. We're not going to fund the organization. We're going to pull out because it's our way or the highway. This shows how extremely hypocritical it is when the US State Department talks about the so-called rules-based international order, in which, of course, the US makes the rules and orders everyone around. In reality, we can see that despite the fact that Antony Blinken, the US Secretary of State, constantly talks about the so-called rules-based order, it's in fact the US that violates the rules that it creates, but it expects other countries to follow those rules while Washington just does whatever it wants. I mentioned earlier that Russia was banned from participating in the Olympics in 2020 and 2022 over accusations that the Russian team used illegal drugs. Well, we now know that the US has allowed these illegal drugs to be used for over a decade now with no consequences. In fact, the double standards get even worse when you realize that this year, 2024, Russia and Belarus were banned again. And why? Because of the war in Ukraine. This was made very clear. It was a political decision. This was stated openly by the International Olympic Committee, the IOC, on its website. A statement in February 2022 from the IOC Executive Board says that Russian and Belarusian athletes should not be allowed to compete, citing the war in Ukraine. And the IOC Executive Board wrote in the statement that it, quote, reaffirms its full solidarity with the Ukrainian Olympic community. What about the Palestinian Olympic community? What about the Iraqi Olympic community? In 2003, the US government invaded Iraq in a blatant war of aggression, and the Secretary General of the United Nations, Kofi Annan, said very clearly, quote, it was illegal. He said that the US violated the UN Charter in this illegal war of aggression. And this is not to mention the fact that the US also invaded Afghanistan, waged war on Syria, waged war on Yemen, waged war on Libya, bombed Somalia, bombed Pakistan. The list of US wars goes on and on and on. And there have been no consequences for the US, which is always allowed to participate in the Olympics while allowing its athletes to use drugs and waging war around the world. According to Brown University's Costs of War project, as mainstream as it gets from a prestigious Ivy League US university, they estimated that after 9/11, after September 11, 2001, the US killed 4.5 to 4.7 million people in the wars that it waged in Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, Syria, and Yemen. Around 1 million people were directly killed in the violence, in a very conservative estimate, and another 3.6 to 3.8 million people were killed indirectly because of these US wars. 38 million people were displaced because of these US wars. Zero consequences. The US is participating right now in the Olympics. And not just the US, Israel is also participating in the Olympics while brutally bombing Gaza with billions of dollars of weapons provided by the United States and full political and diplomatic backing from the United States. No consequences. What about the Palestinian athletes who have been killed by Israel with US weapons? What about the Palestinian athletes whose families are living under illegal Israeli military occupation for decades now with no consequences? Israel faces no punishment from the International Olympic Committee. The International Criminal Court's prosecutor said he was going to apply for an arrest warrant against Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant for war crimes and crimes against humanity committed in Gaza. And what happened? The British regime, which is supposedly a democracy, it's not a democracy, it's a monarchy. And even if it weren't a monarchy, it's a plutocracy, an oligarchy, and a colonialist regime. The UK is not a democracy. They are preventing the ICC from actually charging Benjamin Netanyahu, the far-right Israeli leader, with crimes against humanity. So he has carte blanche to just continue committing crimes against the Palestinian people with no consequences. Once again, this is what the West refers to as its beloved rules-based order. They make the rules and they order everyone else around. And when it's convenient, the Western colonial powers violate those rules, but then they expect international organizations to take action against Russia and China and Iran and their other adversaries. Well, they do whatever they want. Well, they back horrific war crimes that literally kill millions of people in Iraq and Afghanistan and Yemen and Syria and Palestine. The last thing that I'll say here before I conclude is that this hypocrisy starts to make more sense when you look at some of these international organizations and see who runs them. And in reality, you can see that these so-called multilateral, so-called global organizations are almost entirely dominated by the Western colonial powers. Look at, for instance, the executive board of the International Olympic Committee. This is the IOC executive board list on the website. You can see that almost all of them are from Western countries. Look at their last names. The vast majority of them are European, and then there are a few from some other Western countries. And they have like 2 or 3 token members from the Global South, usually from Global South countries like Singapore and Jordan that are closely allied with the West. The Western colonial powers control the International Olympic Committee. The president of the committee, Thomas Bach, is from Germany. Vice President John Coates is from Australia. Another vice president is Dutch. Her name is Nicole Hoverts, and she's from Aruba. People might say, oh, well, she represents the Caribbean. No, Aruba is a Dutch colony. Literal European colonialists run the International Olympic Committee. Another vice president, Juan Antonio Samaranch, is from Spain. Executive board member Dennis Oswald is from Switzerland. Another executive board member, Nada Lalovic, is from Serbia. Fellow member Ivo Ferriani is from Italy. Their executive board colleague, Kristen Kloster, is from Norway. Yet another member is from Finland, Emma Terho. Oh, and finally, we found the only member from Africa. Africa, this massive continent with 1 billion people. We finally found that Africa has one representative on the International Olympic Committee's executive board. Her name is Kirsty Coventry, and she's a white African. She's a descendant of European colonialists from Zimbabwe, formerly known as Rhodesia, which was a British colony. So literally, the only African member of the International Olympic Committee's executive board is a white Zimbabwean, a descendant of European colonialists. And she's joined by the only Caribbean member of the executive board, Nicole Hoverts, who is a Dutch colonialist in Aruba. The reality is that the Western colonial powers never ended colonialism. They still dominate these so-called international organizations, and the United States is the leader, the imperial leader, and U.S. imperialism, the U.S.-led imperialist system, is a global dictatorship dominated by the Western colonial powers, and they tell other countries to do the exact opposite of what they do. And then if another country accuses them of hypocrisy, they claim that it's an authoritarian regime. They invade that country. They overthrow the country's government. They impose sanctions. 1/3 of the world's countries are under illegal unilateral U.S. sanctions. And there are no consequences. The U.S. invades countries around the world. The U.S. has 800 foreign military bases. The U.S. has killed literally millions of people in its wars of aggression just in the past 2 decades. And the cherry on top is that the US allows its athletes to use drugs in the name of spying on other countries that allegedly have athletes that use drugs. And they say, oh, well, we're doing it in the name of fighting doping. So we're allowed to cheat in order to find other countries that cheat. I mean, this is the reality of the so-called rules-based international order. Rules for thee, not rules for me. On that note,
information coming out about that plane that tragically crashed in Brazil. So far, a total of 62 bodies have been recovered from the plane crash wreckage. But it's been determined that 8 different cancer doctors were on the plane that crashed. They were on their way to a conference. Now, initially, about 15 doctors were scheduled to be on the flight, but 7 of them changed to an earlier departure that day. Those doctors were traveling to Sao Paulo to attend the SBTMO 2024 Cancer and Vaccine Conference. One of the individuals said that there was a monitor showing him the wrong gate and that there were like 10 people sitting there realizing they were in the wrong place. And when they ran up to try to get passes to go to the right gate, they said, sorry, you're too late, but you're going to have to reschedule your flight. 2 of the individuals that were on the plane have already been identified, and they're saying that they were the pilot and the co-pilot. Now, the twin-engine turboprop, which was built by aviation firm ATR, was flying from Cascavel in southern Parana State to Sao Paulo. Now, they've recovered the black boxes from the aircraft, and the Brazilian Air Force said that they plan to publish a preliminary report within an estimated 30 days. According to Flight Radar 24 website, the plane flew for about an hour at 17,000 feet until 1:21 p.m. when it began losing altitude at a catastrophic rate. Regardless, this is a devastating loss, and I feel terrible for the family.
When Flight 2283 crashed in Brazil on Friday, many people were devastated. But many people had the same question. Who indeed was on Flight 2283? Were there any interesting people on this plane? No matter if they are a child or an adult, everybody on board that flight was important. But as we have seen time and time again, when it comes to these major airliner crashes, there happens to be some rather interesting people on board those planes. And this time, it would be no different. Reading from this article from The Independent, it says 8 cancer doctors among those who lost their lives in Brazil plane crash, as 7 others changed flight at last minute. So yes, there was supposed to be 15 oncology doctors, cancer doctors on board Vopaz Flight 2283. 7 of those backed out last minute and caught an earlier flight. Now, it is not stated as to why these other doctors caught an earlier flight, but luckily they did because it happened to save their lives. This is something that is rather eerily similar to Flight MH17, the Malaysian airliner that was supposedly hit by a missile. When something like this happens, many people like to bring up MH370 because MH370 had over 20 superconductor scientists on board when it went missing. We should also mention MH17 as well, a flight where everybody lost their lives on board back in 2014, but over 100 of those people were top researchers when it came to AIDS. That is something that's often swept under the rug. Reading this article from The Independent, it says, there are fears the cure for AIDS could have been lost with 100 of the best and brightest scientists and researchers on board Malaysia Airlines flight MH17. Yop Lang, a world-renowned researcher and former president of the International AIDS Society, was with the group heading to the Global AIDS 2014 conference in Melbourne, Australia. Trevor Stratton, a Canadian HIV researcher attending the conference, told ABC researchers that they had been getting close to a jab against AIDS, and he said, What if the cure for AIDS was on the plane? Really, we do not know, he said. There were some really prominent researchers that have been doing this for a very long time, and we're getting close to jabs, and people are talking about cures and the end of AIDS. There were even those who were close to Yope that said there was going to be a major announcement. A major breakthrough was going to be announced at this conference, and it never came to pass. People who knew of this breakthrough are now keeping quiet. This is something that has played out all throughout history. Whenever a mode of transportation experiences a major catastrophe, you will find out there are a group of people on that mode of transportation that do have something interesting in common. Remember that very bizarre story that came out where a group of scientists and environmentalists were on a plane heading to East Ohio after the train derailment. Supposedly, they were going to test the water after the train derailment. Their plane crashed. Everybody on board that plane perished. People found out. They said, what's going on here? There's a big cover up here when it comes to the water. News and media came back. They pushed back and said, no, that's just a conspiracy theory. Those scientists, those environmentalists, they were not testing the waters. What they were actually doing, they were going to a plant in East Ohio to test the metals after an explosion. So since the fact checkers came out, that story was also swept under the rug. You can go all the way back to the Titanic and find out there were passengers, multiple passengers, who were fighting the Federal Reserve. They were fighting against JP Morgan, and they all lost their lives when the Titanic had sunk. Now look, this vote past Flight 2283 plane crash could have just been a simple plane crash, an unfortunate plane crash. Either the plane malfunctioned or there could have been pilot error. But it's very telling when you look at a lot of these news and media videos, the comment sections of these videos, you look at these articles, you read the comment section of these articles, and you have a lot of people who are saying, well, who was on that plane? Who was on that plane that they wanted to get rid of? Then we get news that there were 8 cancer doctors on board that flight, supposed to be 15. We're not trying to make a conspiracy theory here. We're not trying to make something strange here. But again, we're saying this because we have seen this time and time again. It is not a conspiracy theory. It is now a pattern. These 8 doctors did not even need to have the cure for cancer because there are many different types of cancers. I am sure one cure will not cure all. But what if these doctors were working on something big, some rather big research where they found the link to what's causing this major increase, this major rise, this explosion of cancer rates in young people around the world? For example, what if they found out that there was a certain injection that many of these people had taken that's now causing cancer or an increase of cancer rates? Something like that being released to the public would be rather devastating to the pharmaceutical world. So again, they don't need to have the cure for cancer to have some rather big and important information. At the end of the day, whether something shady has taken place here, or it was something as simple as the plane malfunctioning, 62 people still lost their lives, whether they were a scientist or a child. Many people say that minutes of horror, you do not have to find the strangeness in everything. You do not have to find conspiracy theories in everything. But my thing is, there's nothing wrong with asking questions, especially, like I said, where we have a pattern where many people have this exact same question: who indeed were on board the flight? Thank you all so much for watching. When there are more details, more information, more updates when it comes to this horrific plane crash, this vote past Flight 2283, I will definitely go ahead and keep you all updated.
Kofi, follow me.